Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 5:30. Today is August the 20th, Tuesday of 2019, and I now call this San Juan Economic Development Corporation meeting to order. Our first item on the agenda is our invocation. We were expecting Father Jorge Gomez. He's not here yet. Mr. Rodriguez, haven't heard from him?
No, the only thing we had was that he was going to be here and that he was on his way. But
Would you like to lead us in the invocation then, in the prayer, or you want to
I
continue?
think I just see him walking right around the
Is he coming? Okay, we'll let him come on in.
I'll proceed. I'll proceed, sir. Can we stand for the invocation, please? Please bow your heads. Father, thank you for every seat that has been filled here today, for each mind and heart that fills the presence of this room. We thank you. Only you truly know what we are setting out to accomplish today. We have an idea, vision, hints, and daily instructions. We have talents, abilities, and time to work. However, only you, Father, can see in perfect detail the end of every beginning, every project, every season, every life. Nothing is ever in vain, for even our mistakes, missteps, are used for good. Your righteousness transcends all our efforts and understanding. Strengthen our confidence in who you have made us to be. Set us free from comparison in order to work together efficiently. Bless this meeting today, Father, all those present, as well as the lives of those we will encounter afterward. Ready us to make every moment count. In Jesus' name, amen.
Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Can you lead us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
flag as well? Honor the Texas
Flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Our next item on the agenda is our roll call. I'll begin with my right for all the city employees.
Laura Rodriguez.
The Palacio City Attorney or EDC Attorney.
Arjona City Manager.
Art Rodriguez, Director.
Bob Garza, President.
Marco Villegas, present.
Arturo Guajardo Jr. Ernesto Guajardo, Board Member.
Jair Garza, Treasurer.
Pedro Contreras.
Thank you. Next item is our Executive Director's Report, Mr. Rodriguez.
If I may have you go behind tab 1. In tab 1, I have listed the business development strategies that have been discussed throughout this particular week. I've been in communication constantly, continuously with the City Finance Director for closing out the budget for 2018-2019. I have also been putting together the budget for 2019-2020. I hope to have the first and of the final readings for the budget on the next meeting, which will be September the 3rd, and then the second and the final reading for September the 17th. In the last meeting, I indicated that I would have the budget ready to go by mid-September, and the proposed meeting that we have set for 2017 will cover the second reading for your approval and consideration.
And is that the last day that we have available to adopt that budget?
No, actually, it's got to be done by September 30th, so
Okay.
we still have several days to
Very
discuss and change anything. During this period of time, I've also been meeting with corporate and franchise officials on a new business that has been considering coming into the city of San Juan. We've had one telephone meeting and we've had one in-person meeting. And I met with the CEO and chair of the company that's considering, and also with the real estate director for the same company. And we will be continuously meeting, and we have a tentatively set meeting for next week as well. If it's so desired, I do have some material that I could discuss and present to you in executive session due to the nature of the company being confidential at this point.
Okay, very good. We'll discuss whatever else you've got in executive session. Is there anything else here that you can discuss now?
Yes, sir. I've meeting with a private engineer as well, who's representing two investors, and both investors are out of the country. And the engineer is continuously representing both of them, both investors in different countries, have a sincere interest in coming in and setting up business in the city of San Juan. And they have hired this engineer to represent them. We've had 3 meetings. There is at least 2 others that are scheduled before I can present any type of proposal coming, but there will be a proposal coming to you. We've been in discussions with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and we have gotten real close as far as establishing rapport with EDC and the Hispanic Chamber. There will be several meetings that we will be setting together, and since the EDC has been made responsible for Chamber of Commerce for the city, I'm attempting to bring both chambers together and bringing it back for discussion and presentation before you as well. We have a tentative meeting that's already, really, it's not tentative, it's set. It's called the Congressional Luncheon. It is sponsored by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and we have made it available for several attendees from this board and city employees as well to be present. Actually, the luncheon will be on the 21st, which is tomorrow, and it'll be at the DoubleTree, and it'll start at 11:30 in the morning, 11:30 to 1. So I'm just kind of giving you a reminder of the fact that it's taking place tomorrow. All of the board was notified and on this event, and we have, I believe, 10 seats available, and I think 9 responded for attendance, okay, altogether. I've also been in contact with brokers and bankers seeking other ways of creating possible loans available for people of interest in setting up business in the city of San Juan. And that's developing, and I'll be referring people to different banks that have made themselves available to seek people that wish to obtain loans for business. And those will be transparent because each bank is going to be listed as which bank is being offered for services. But I'm going through a local banker, local broker that has approached EDC and made it known that his 4 banks or 5 banks actually are in the market for customers to come their way on possible financing. Yes, sir.
You're saying people locally, business people are reaching out to you in reference to some assistance financially with loans? Is that how this came about?
There are some really investors that are trying to bring business in and development within the community, and they are in the area of actually having purchased land, and they're wanting to be able to finance actual building structures, subdivisions, and they're asking for any way of connecting with bankers that might be giving them opportunities. So at this point, I'm making the bankers aware that there are people out there, and they're asking for us to send anyone who's interested in loans. And
Make a reference to people looking for these opportunities. Are these walk-ins? They're contacting you via phone, email, or website?
some of them are walk-ins, and some of them have come before the city commission and have attempted to seek incentives in a different way and opportunities of financing. So part of my job description calls for finding such opportunities for private financing. And though I'm not in the middle of actually sitting down with them, I am sending people who are interested in saying, this person has come to us. You represent 4 or 5 banks. That's between the person that comes to me asking, do you know of any banks that are giving us an opportunity? So
Rodriguez, the reason why I bring this up is because not too long ago, I think it was the city of Mission who, one of the local cities here, neighboring cities, brought in a new city manager, and one of the strategies he used was he visited a lot of businesses in community. That's how he found out what the needs of our local business people were. If you have time, I'd encourage the same thing.
I have the same strategy, sir.
great. Thank you.
And I'm going to be getting there. There are the contacts that I've made with, for example, the engineer and the 2 investors that are coming in foreign. And I'm having more meetings regarding that. But as I'm able to release information, I intend to do it. But I'm working on exactly that strategy of seeking business to come in. So we have met with a representative of the governor's office as well for economic development, and the efforts will continue in establishing a better rapport with the governor's office. We have talked about, we actually had a meeting at the EDC office here in San Juan and brought 1 representative in. And this representative has made other connections for us as well within the governor's office. And so that's going to be a continued partnership in just communicating with the governor's office on economic development opportunities, grants, and other incentives that are available through the governor's office. I've made discussions on possible P3 economic development opportunities. That's the public-private partnerships called P3s. It is an economic development tool, and I will be in further discussions with companies that are interested in developing through the P3s, and even some of the international companies that are interested in coming in have a sincere desire to possibly go P3. I am P3 trained, and I will be seeking to bring aboard that opportunity for the city of San Juan and EDC. At this point, basically, there are a lot more things that are pending, but I'm not quite developed yet in other areas, but this is what I've been working on.
Thank you for the report, Mr. Rodriguez. Any questions for him, Mr. Board members? No questions? Now we'll proceed. It sounds like you hit the ground running. That's what we expected of you, so thank you for that. Our next item on the agenda is we've got some presentations. We've got a consultant presentation, discussion, possible action by EMC Strategy Group LLC. Welcome. Thank you guys for being here tonight.
Oops, I don't have a mic, so that's a good thing, so I have a very loud voice. Good evening, gentlemen. I'm Janice Gonzalez. I am the owner and founder of EMC Strategy Group. We are a lobbying firm and also business and economic development consultant. At this time, what I'll do is, while Ernie is passing out the folders, I'd like to show you a short video, and it's from another community that we helped out as well. And I'll go ahead and get that started right now.
Since January of this year, our team has
we had technical
on the ground at the state capitol,
and then
representing
I'll have
Eagle
Ernie
Pass
do the
during the 86th
presentation
legislative
as soon as
session.
we get that.
Additionally, our team has been charged with providing
Yeah, that's
professional
it, and
guidance to the city's hybrid
can't hear
economic
it.
development model called the Business and Economic Development Committee. The BDC has 9 standing committees and nearly 60 volunteers who represent a cross-section of local. EMC Strategy Group is a family-owned business. Our firm is named after our 3 children, Ernie, Mitch, and Cristiano. Our company name reinforces our core values. We have served the city of Eagle Pass since April 2017. Our professional consulting services include government relations and economic development. Since January of this year, our team has been boots and heels on the ground at the state capitol representing Eagle Pass during the 86th legislative session. Additionally, our team has been charged with providing professional guidance to the city's hybrid economic development model called the Business and Economic Development Committee. The BDC has 9 standing committees and nearly 60 volunteers who represent a cross-section of local industry. The BDC serves as a unique connection between the city and the business community. All BDC activities are aimed at supporting local economic development initiatives. As part of our responsibility, EMC organizes and supports all BDC monthly meetings, activities, and workshops throughout the year. As part of our transparency, EMC provides weekly video updates and publishes a monthly newsletter that highlights all activities done on behalf of the city. EMC is proud of the work that it has done alongside the city's leadership. Our goal has always been to ensure that the city is represented professionally and highly visible throughout the state. We have engaged our professional contacts and associations for the exposure of Eagle Pass and its residents. Our work has produced some real results. These achievements have supported economic development, small businesses, labor workforce, and reinforced the city's collaborative efforts approach. In 2018, EMC conducted 103 activities on behalf of Eagle Pass. Some of these activities included 12 business workshops, outreach to cities, counties, and school districts in support of greater transportation infrastructure projects. Our community partners include Eagle Pass Chamber of Commerce, Southwest Texas Junior College, Eagle Pass ISD, and the business community. We work daily with our state and federal agencies and our federal and state legislative delegation to advance the city's legislative priorities. We work with State Representative Porcho Narvaez this session to draft legislation that will impact local and regional transportation infrastructure projects and amending the Texas Government Code on legal notices that will save the city tens of thousands of dollars. We have also worked to secure funding from TxDOT for a truck reroute project that will redirect commercial trucks with hazardous materials away from residential homes and school zones. We have also lobbied our federal legislative delegation for expanded CBP resources at Eagle Pass's ports of entry. EMC Strategy Group is committed to continue serving the city of Eagle Pass and eager to take on new challenges for the overall betterment of the community. Thank you for allowing EMC to be a part of Team Eagle Pass. Thank you, Janice, for that video. And Mr. President and distinguished members of the Executive Board, we have a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to go through, and I'm going to try to go through it as briefly as possible to highlight some of the work that we've done and what we're all about. I had the opportunity last week or a week and a half ago to visit with Mr. Rodriguez and the board president at a meeting that we had at the San Juan EDC, and we had a representative from the Governor's Office of Economic Development, Priscilla Munoz. And it was an outreach that we did as just a courtesy that we wanted to expose the EDC to the Governor's Office. And so I'm going to go ahead and go through the PowerPoint presentation. In your packet, by the way, you're going to find a career highlights of Janice Gonzalez and myself, and also a fact sheet about our economic development services and also our government relations services that we provide. So EMC Strategy Group, we're licensed through the state of Texas, through the Texas Secretary of State's office. We were established in January in 2015. In fact, when we first started our firm, I had the opportunity to visit with the city manager, Ben. We were doing our outreach up and down the valley, and we visited then. We are a family business. We're woman-owned and veteran-led. As you heard in the video, the company EMC is named after our 3 children. So every day that we're at work, we're reminded of what we do and why we do it. It's kind of like the EDC, what you all do. You all are here because you want to make sure that you create job opportunities for the constituents within the community. We also provide lobbying services in Austin and in Washington, D.C. In fact, earlier this summer, we partnered up and formed a strategic affiliation with Alcalde and Fe. They're a D.C.-based lobbying firm. They've been in business for over 43 years. And, we partnered up and we're doing strategies outreach throughout the state of Texas. We do provide economic development services to communities and also provide marketing and communication services. So we do a lot of things within our firm. Our leadership experience, we do have a lot of training and also experience in international trade and commerce, foreign trade zones, advocacy for city projects. Advocacy, what I mean by that is the lobbying. Also, we worked in every level of government, from city to county to state and federal government. In fact, I mentioned to your board president that I had the opportunity to start off my public service career after the Marine Corps working for the district clerk's office in Cameron County, where the district clerk that I worked for, she said that it was real important to get involved in the community, and so we did. We also have worked in every layer of government, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. Janice previously served as the Business and Economic Development Director for the City of El Paso Chamber of Commerce. We've also done a lot of work with transportation and infrastructure. That includes working with Texas Transportation Commission and TxDOT. We do a lot of work with border security and public safety because of the border communities that we represent, and also a lot of grant and project management. Janice also previously served as an assistant to the Chief of Staff for U.S. Senator Christopher Dodd in Washington, D.C., and I worked as a Special Projects and Grants Director for former Congressman Solomon Ortiz, and we both worked in Washington, D.C. The list of our clients, it's broad. We work with cities, we work with nonprofit organizations and private sectors. The cities that we've had the opportunity to represent include the cities of Freer, San Diego, Falfurrias, Pleasanton, Eagle Pass, and also doing work with the city of Brownsville. We've also now recently done a lot of work with AT&T, and then Phase Lead Communications, which is deploying small cells, that's communications infrastructure to improve the internet activity within all of South Texas. So we're helping do their government relations outreach. We've done work for academia, working with colleges and universities, and also veterans organizations, Catholic Charities of San Antonio. It's a major charity in San Antonio. We are San Antonio based, by the way. And then here in the Valley, we've done work for the Children's Bereavement Center. They're located in San Antonio. We help them expand their operations to the Rio Grande Valley. And also Down by the Border, which is another nonprofit organization in Brownsville. What we do whenever we serve a client, whether it's public, private sector, or nonprofit, is we want to find out what the needs are. We want to sit down and talk to a business owner. We want to talk to an elected official, a school official, to find out what the actual needs are, and then we determine our strategy. So we research community opportunities through state and federal resources. We engage the business community. We conduct listening sessions and focus groups. We conduct department workshops wherever possible with cities that we represent. And then we develop action plans and strategies to address the economic development priorities for the community. Part of our work also includes the lobbying, which is coming up with the government relations and legislative priorities at the state and the federal level, because we are state and federal lobbyists. And then once we get our intelligence and the information that we need, we begin on our action plans, and then we begin to advocate. The partners that we work with on a day-to-day basis include the Office of Rural Development, USDA's office. So your USDA office is in Edinburgh. We work with the Economic Development Administration, the Governor's Office of Economic Development, SBA, also the state and federal legislators, and then folks like aviation, TxDOT Aviation, TxDOT, and then we also work with some funding sources for businesses, which include Lift Fund and People Fund, which are both represented in the Valley. So as we tailor our services for our clients, we focus on economic development. And why economic development? Because it's job creation. You know, every one of you here was a child at one time, and somebody created job opportunities for your parents and your families, and then eventually yourself. And so there's a lot of kids out there. We know that there is. There's a lot of kids with dreams, and they don't know exactly what they're going to do. And hopefully the work that we do here in partnership with other organizations will help create a job opportunity. Or they're going to see, well, maybe I want to be a teacher, or maybe I want to be a football coach. So we come up with ideas to address economic development that fits the community. We also support small business, because part of any economic development model, in addition to recruitment, should be retention. Retain what you got. Because about 93% probably of your businesses in San Juan are locally owned. Mom and pop shops, mom and pop operation. So they need to be supported. And somebody had mentioned what another city manager had done in Mission. I know that the former economic development director from Mission, Alex Mead, that's one of the things he did. And I'm sure Art's going to do the same thing, is focusing on the small businesses. The government outreach and community relations is very important when you do the economic development model, because you have to tap into the local, the state, and the federal resources. When I say local, that could be the community college. It could be the school district, PSJA. It's a major resource to developing the labor workforce in this area. So whenever we work in a community, We always work with the local school district and the college. And then grant supports. We identify the grants. If there's a right match for the Economic Development Corporation here, we look at which grants are attainable, which are realistic, and then we come up with a strategy to seek those grants at the state or the federal level, or even private foundation. The services that we provide on economic development does include business investor outreach, working with business development firms, attending a trade show, and then online research. Basically, we try to leave no stone unturned. You try to get business wherever you can. And then we also work with the city's economic development component. If there's a public affairs director for the city, we'd like to work with them because that's how we're going to support and promote the city through promotional videos, also working with the local Chamber of Commerce, and then other tourism organizations. And then, as Mr. Rodriguez mentioned, identify P3 opportunities. Public-private partnerships are very important, and this is an opportunity where private sector can team up with local investors and also the local government that can support a business venture. Also mentioning seeking those grant opportunities, and then also seeking opportunities to improve infrastructure. For example, AT&T. I mentioned that we do a lot of work with AT&T, and we're helping them with their permitting process. This includes the deployment of wireless towers, small cells, and so working with private organizations like AT&T, that's just one partner where we can improve the infrastructure in the area that provides a atmosphere supportive of economic development. That also includes TxDOT, working with the utilities companies and so forth. So we connect local business to business capital providers. I had mentioned Lift Fund and People Fund. Sometimes a business is struggling and they need money. And maybe the EDC cannot give them money, but we can help them find the money. And it's those success stories that we want to hear and share. If we identify a mom and pop operation out there, they're struggling and maybe they need a $20,000 loan, and we can help them get that loan so that they can grow their business, then that's a success story right there, because that makes a difference. So the support to local business, it does include having a business development certification program, business mentorship, procurement training opportunities. We do this all the time, working with GSA and the State Comptroller's Office to educate businesses on how to get contracts through the government. Partnering with local, state, and federal agencies to support the local businesses, and there's several agencies that can help with that. And then we coordinate and execute business workshops. We do business workshops in every community that we've ever represented. And in one of the cities that we're doing work with right now, in Pleasanton, we do 2 workshops a month. And then we also offer complete business startup services for constituents that live and reside within the city limits. We're not trying to duplicate services, but sometimes it's easier for somebody to stay within the city than to drive into Edinburgh to go use the Small Business Development Center. But we also partner with those organizations too. So the monthly business workshops that we've done, we'll do a school district procurement workshop, a city procurement workshop, Department of Defense contractors. So a lot of people don't think that they can't seek a Department of Defense contract because there's no military base in the area. Well, there's Kingsville, and there's Corpus Christi, and there's Laughlin Air Force Base in Del Rio. It's driving distance, and any business in the area can compete for those federal contracts. Then there's the GSA, Border Patrol Stations, CBP, ports of entry, the checkpoints. There's all sorts of federal contracts that your local businesses can seek, and we can help them get those. Then the Small Business Administration Workshop, and then working with the State Comptroller's Office and the Tech Secretary of States. On the government outreach, one of the things that we would suggest is working with the Lower Rio Grande Development Council of Governments, the COG. Also conducting outreach to the school districts, the surrounding cities, the county, state, federal governments, and other government entities. They're all resources that we would reach out to and have a lot of experience with that. Maintaining regular communications with the state and federal legislators. I know your state senator very well, Eddie Lucio Jr., and also your state rep, Mando Martinez. They're old friends, and they're great legislators, and certainly we have experience in working with those folks. And then working with the surrounding chambers of commerce, economic development organizations like the RGV Partnership. We've got a great working relationship with them, and we're also supporters of the RGV Partnership, and then nonprofit organizations. So conducting outreach to other government and community relations professionals. What that means is every major corporation or company has a lobbyist. Like AT&T's got JD or Union Pacific has Ivan Jaime. We would work with those folks because they support economic development. Other collaborative efforts that we would work on, and collaborative efforts is the way we do business. We would work with Hidalgo County, PSJ, UTRGV, STCC because of labor. The COG, RGB partnership, the MPO that's recently been formed in the Rio Grande Valley. That's an economic development resource there. And then Workforce Solutions in Rio Grande Valley, that is a partner, and then UTRGV, SBDC. The state and federal government opportunities, there's a lot. And we would, again, identify what's the good match for this community and then help to apply for those grants and then targeting economic development, infrastructure, and quality of life. I've listed the agencies that we work with, so I don't want to repeat those. But as I wrap up, I do want to mention accountability and transparency is something that we take great pride in. We have regular communication with our clients. We put together a monthly newsletter. We report to the Texas Ethics Commission, and because we're federal lobbyists, we also do reports to the U.S. Congress. And then I want to wrap up with this, and I've got a brief video that to highlight what we did in Eagle Pass. Was a promotional video. So we've got proven business and economic development success. We worked at every layer of government, city, county, state, and federal level. We provide state and government outreach. We consider ourselves the most competitive government relations and business economic development consulting firm in the state. And we're very competitive. We're also border folks. Janice and I grew up in Brownsville, and she lived in Eagle Pass, and we lived in El Paso. So we understand the border community. The border community is not Houston, and it ain't Dallas. It's very unique. I'm preaching to the choir here. But, people from the valley, we know what it's like to live here, and we know what the priorities are. So if you liked what you heard, we would hope that you'd consider the services that we would offer. And I'd like to wrap up with this promotional video that I think that we could do here too.
Eagle Pass's greatest natural resource is its people and the Rio Grande River, a natural international border between the United States and Mexico. The river serves as a natural border, but an important unifier of two border communities, Eagle Pass and Piedras Negras. There are approximately 400,000 people who live and do business within a 30-mile radius of downtown Eagle Pass. Traveling to and from Eagle Pass is convenient. Eagle Pass's transportation connectors include 2 international ports of entry, an international rail bridge operated by Union Pacific, and U.S. Highways 57 and 277, which connect Interstate 35. U.S. Highways 57 and 277 connect directly to Eagle Pass. The region also has a county-owned airport and an airport in Piedras Negras, with economic daily flights to Mexico City. International air travel from San Antonio is also just over 2 hours. These important transportation assets help fuel the economies of the entire border region, the state of Texas, and the United States. The transportation of products to and from Mexico help fuel national and state economies and create jobs in the cross-border region. Eagle Pass sits on a transportation corridor that connects major cities such as Houston, San Antonio, and Monterrey, Mexico. Major industry in the metropolitan area include one of the largest beer breweries in the world, coal mines, and auto parts manufacturing and assembly. Eagle Pass and its region possesses a highly skilled labor workforce that is prepared to support industry of all types. You'll find quality people ready to support your business. Eagle Pass offers visitors a wide range of shopping opportunities. Visitors can enjoy the cross-border shopping experience in our historic downtown. There are dozens of local merchants to choose from, and parking is never a problem. Visitors can also find nationally recognized retailers at the Mall de las Águilas. Locally owned businesses can also be found throughout Eagle Pass. Eagle Pass has modern infrastructure to support economic development. It has high-quality water supply, telecommunications, infrastructure, and plenty of open land for expanded development. Eagle Pass also has a variety of residential and commercial real estate properties readily available for purchase or lease. On land, we've got you covered. The tradition and friendships between the bordering cities of Piedras Negras and Eagle Pass provide a one-of-a-kind unity that bonds two rich cultures, economic infrastructure, and allows accessibility to a perfect getaway just minutes away. Eagle Pass and Piedras Negras offer the finest Mexican cuisine in the border region. Visitors will have plenty of quality restaurants to choose from. Family is a huge part of our community, and this can be seen at every meal. Creating memories and enjoying quality time with friends and professional colleagues occurs daily in Eagle Pass. Try your luck at the only border casino and hotel in Texas. The Kickapoo Lucky Eagle Casino Hotel offers award-winning restaurants, luxurious rooms and suites, and a vast variety of amenities. There is also time to wind down and spend quality time with that special person in your life. In Eagle Pass, we have something for everyone. Whether you're seeking outdoor adventures, taking in a local sporting event, attending a local parade, or playing a little golf, we've got you covered. If you are looking for a great place to grow your business or planning a visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region, consider Eagle Pass your destination of choice. We welcome you to experience our rich culture. Come experience Eagle Pass.
Mr. President and members of the board, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to present for you today, and I wanted to open up the floor to any questions that you may have. And for the record, I wasn't trying to promote Eagle Pass. I was just trying to show some of our work.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. That was a great presentation. You certainly enlightened us with some of the services that you can provide to a community like ours. I don't know if the board has any questions for Mr. Gonzalez at this point.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gonzalez, no. I have some questions, you know, as far as discussion, as far as the presentation and stuff. As far as your services, no,
Yes, sir.
good presentation.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Does that have to get directed toward him or to Mr. Rodriguez? The question.
If you have any questions, you can address him directly.
Well, I guess my first question is, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm waiting.
My first question was, like I said, great presentation. Was there anybody else who offered to give presentations? Or was this your recommendation, or?
No,
I see
actually,
only one person, and I know that they maybe have several wanting to turn in some proposals and stuff like that.
during the meeting that we had, I believe the way it was placed is we have another consulting group that is present here as well, and we'll be able to present them. I'm sure they're prepared to present as well.
What I mean is, was there anybody besides these two who turned in a proposal?
At this point, the only thing that we discussed in executive session was, are you able to bring more people forth to meet with the board? And my answer was yes, and I will continue to do that if the board here directs me to do that, because that was the intent. This was the start, and as directed in executive session where it was discussed, I was directed to seek others. And we will have others if the board continues to.
You all recall when we were working on our budget, we saw what we wanted to do with our budget line items, whether there was some wiggle room to bring in additional help. That still has yet to be determined. We're still, the budget is still a work in progress. So I think in Mr. Rodriguez's defense, he just brought us an additional tool, and if we want some more in the future, we can definitely listen to as many as we want. We're not limited to one or two or three. That decision will be this board's at all time. Okay.
Mr. President, I have a question. We have another consultant here. Will they have an opportunity to present to us? Does this need to be under presentation, or are we okay having them come up and present to us under regular agenda open session items?
The other consulting group here is also under an open agenda item, and they too will be able to present whatever they have to present today, and it's open for discussion as well and possible action. And if I can refer you to Roman numeral 8, and we'll go down to B of that section. It also addresses a renewal contract of a consultant who is present here today.
So during that time, we can take them and have them present as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gonzalez, you pointed out something very interesting, and I do feel we do have a responsibility, not just for our family, but all our community's future, whether we're children or others, adults as well. But when we make that kind of investment, I feel like us as board members, we have the responsibility to bring in future well-planned businesses that the community as a whole, we're gonna profit from that. Maybe I missed it, but did you provide examples of maybe a vehicle manufacturing company, maybe those kind of big businesses that we're looking for? I mean, I'm not gonna speak on behalf of all the board members, but I feel like as a board member, I have that responsibility of, if we're gonna bring somebody on board, we want somebody that's gonna help us in bringing that kind of future to our city.
Absolutely, and if I can allude to two projects in particular. In Eagle Pass, we worked on a transportation company. As you know, Eagle Pass is right on the border, and they got two ports of entry. And so they have a lot of custom brokers there, and there was a major transportation company that relocated there within the last 12 to 14 months. As part of our work, we provided consulting services to the city and also to the company that was relocating called MicroStar to help them apply for assistance through the Governor's Office of Economic Development, a specific fund called the Texas Enterprise Fund. And so we assisted them in completing the application, and then the end result is they established ground, and they're good paying jobs, really good paying jobs. You have to have the CDL in order to operate those trucks. Another one, I can't go into the name of the company because it's still in development now, and there's an NDA, but it's in the city of Pleasanton, and the company, and we're working also with the Governor's Office of Economic Development directly on this project, is in the 2 to 3 year budget that they submitted could establish 360 jobs to that community. These are all good paying jobs, and there's administration that goes there. There's entry level position, people that are, it's a manufacturing company, I'll just say that. I can't give other information, but there's administration jobs. Some of those are 6 figures, and some of them are in the high 80s, and then going down to the $17 an hour wage. So those are good examples, and we're happy to provide references, which are important, of the people that we worked with on those projects.
How long has your business been operating?
We've been in business for since 2014.
2014. Okay, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, like you mentioned, you're preaching to the choir when you speak in reference to people living in our community. Transport is number one because we live in the border, right? So that's a big business, and that's a business that you commonly see throughout the border. And I guess what I'm looking for is something that you don't usually see, and I feel like that's what we're looking for. Something you don't usually see that will attract not just people from San Juan, but we're going to attract the whole valley.
Sure, and
the whole valley is going to bring us more money, right? As taxpayers, right? More, leave your taxes here and jobs. But I love your presentation. Don't get me wrong, Mr. Gonzalez. I think you and your wife have a great company. Obviously, it looks good. But I feel that as a board member, I want to make sure that we look for something no one else has, you know, and I think that if we can bring in something no one else has, we're all going to benefit from it, not just our community directly, but indirectly, the whole valley, the whole area, right?
And I can think of 3 areas that I would focus on if I had the opportunity to work with all of you. I would focus on cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, as we all know, is being threatened every day. Influences government at every level. In the city of Del Rio, their system was hacked a year ago, and some hackers from a foreign country completely hacked the city of Del Rio's system. So cybersecurity is an area where the local workforce here can be trained in, so that they can get those high-paying jobs. And rather than us shipping them off to San Antonio, working with through a public-private partnership to bring a private sector company here. And this is long-term because you got to work with STC and UTRGV and the Texas Workforce Commission, Workforce Solutions, and the local school district to bring and train. You got to train your labor workforce, and then you got to lure the company. So cyber is one. We all know that SpaceX has broken ground in the valley. And then we've got the things that are happening over there in the Port of Brownsville with the LNG. Those are high-paying jobs. And people can work in Brownsville and live here. It's a 35-minute drive. And so that's a high-paying job that we'd look at also. So high-tech, cybersecurity, and then I know that the Texas Workforce Commission, they've got a great program that's called the Skills Development Grant, where you identify what a need is within the community, those jobs that you're trying to create, and the state will help fund not only the equipment, but the educator that's providing that training. So I hear you. Those are important things, thinking about the future.
Any other questions, Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, sir.
I just want to congratulate you and your wife. I think you all had a great presentation. I also, I'm a owner of a small mom and pop business here for the past 18 years, and never I have heard that people have approached us throughout the past 18, 19 years that we've been in operations, and that's good that, you know, that there is such a programs that you'll be able to help the family-owned small mom and pop businesses. That's really good.
You know, we're small business owners, so one of the things that we struggle, and you can appreciate this, cash flow.
Yes, yes.
It's tough sometimes. It really is.
Completely.
You look at your bank account, you're trying to make ends meet, you're trying to make a difference, and so small businesses hold a small place in our heart.
That big fish.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Definitely.
Any other questions?
Mr. Gonzalez, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Very interesting.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Appreciate it, sir. Appreciate your time. And Ms. Gonzalez, thank you as well.
Thank you very much, man.
So board members, I don't think we require any formal action at this point. We have listened to what he's got to offer. Once we settle on our budget, we can decide whether this is a service that we would like to go after or not. If you're in agreement, we can proceed to the next one.
Correct.
Good?
Yeah. Now, moving forward, we will have more presentations, or of anybody that's approached you.
Yes, sir. We have, in fact, I spoke to another company today,
Okay.
and
And great presentation, believe me, but it's just, yes.
and I will be meeting
We
with
just want to make
a
sure that we
company.
do our due diligence and maybe
Yes, sir.
others present as well.
I will be meeting with a company on Friday.
Okay.
Friday morning.
Okay, great.
Thank you all. Thank you, guys. Next item on the agenda is presentations by attorneys. We've got 4 listed here, and I don't know, the first one listed it wasn't not in any particular order. The first one listed is Mr. Gilbert L. Vasquez. Welcome, Mr. Vasquez. You're a familiar face.
Thank you, yes. Good evening. Thank you for having me. I have a PowerPoint, and I don't know, Ms. Patterson, is there a control to switch it, or do you have to switch it manually? Okay. I apologize. I didn't know that. Okay.
Sorry.
I did bring a.
I don't. However you all prefer to do this. Do you? Is that how you want it? Come on. Doesn't matter to me. The board is suggesting, because we've got 4 presenters here, that maybe one at a time be here and the other ones can wait maybe in the library while.
Oh, you're gonna steal each other's ideas. Is that okay or is it wrong? Right.
You guys have it? Okay.
So this is just for presentation. Just recommend take action next month or next meeting. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. President. Board members, thank you for having me. And everybody here pretty much knows me. My name is Gilbert L. Vasquez. I've been around the PSJ area for a while. I would say for over 20 years. I was adopted by people from PSJ. I married into the PSJ area, and you all kept me. So I'm still here, and I'd like to thank you. And I've been very successful here in the PSJ area. My name is Gilbert Vasquez, and as I said, and let me see if I can work this. And I did provide you, there you go. I am part of the Vasquez Law Firm. I am Gilbert Vasquez. I am the I am the only attorney with the Vasquez Law Firm. My office is here in Pharr, Texas. I have included my cellular number and my telephone number and my fax number. Let me go to the next one. Okay, so I'm energetic, I'm professional, and I am dedicated to my clients. I value my family, I value my clients, and I care deeply about my clients and the communities that they represent. I specialize in providing legal services to the governmental and non-governmental entities. I emphasize, and my practice has been emphasized on economic development corporations, municipalities, and school districts. My firm and myself, I strive to provide competent and creative and thorough legal services in the most cost-effective manner for my clients. And I swear I'll get this correct. I treat my clients in a familial and professional manner, which is the reason that I'm always accessible and available to them. I provide my cell number, so that way if you all need to get to me at any time, then you can get a hold of me 24/7. And I've had it happen. I have had it happen. I'm not going to mention names, Armando Garza. Sources of communication, of course, are my cell phone, emails, the office phone, and faxes. I am the attorney that will be working with the EDC if you do decide to hire me. I am the lead attorney. I have found that in my last 20 years working with governmental entities and EDCs that it's better for me to be here. I'm the one that is here day to day, talking to the director, the board members, city commissioners, the city offices, and it doesn't make sense to kind of throw somebody in at a meeting because they don't have the full knowledge of what's going on. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but very few times it's happened to me over the years. So I make a special effort to be at every meeting that I have to for my clients. As I said, I'm the managing owner of the Vasquez Law Firm. I've been practicing law for over 22 years in Hidalgo County. Of those 22 years, I have had 20 years of general counsel service to economic development corporations, cities, and school districts. In addition to providing counsel for economic development corporations, municipalities, and school clients, I have also provided legal assistance to clients in the areas of commercial, employment, family, criminal, real estate law, and general litigation. I always found that it was important to keep an open practice to help my governmental entity clients because there's always an issue of an employee doing something that would be considered criminal or wrong or issues with disciplinary situations. So it's just nice to have a broad practice. I don't just keep it just to governmental entity law. I have experience in Open Meetings Act and Public Information Act. I have experience in procurement, construction, and contract issues. I have experience in employment law, including handling matters related to hiring practices, discipline, reassignments, grievances, suspensions, terminations, harassment claims. What did I do, Ms. Patterson? Did I go to sleep? Yeah. I'm also experienced in handling election proceedings, which I gained working here with the city of San Juan while I was here. I'm experienced in advising board members and administrators on an array of economic development corporation, municipal, and school law issues. I'm also experienced in handling matters before the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, Texas Workforce Commission, and the state and federal courts. I also have trial and mediation experience. Now I'd like to turn to the experience I have with development corporation clients. With development corporation clients, I've had the opportunity to discuss, advise, and work with EDC directors, EDC employees, board members, mayors, city commissioners, city managers, and city staff on all legal matters. We try to get together and figure out what does the city want, what does the EDC want, what can the EDC do to complement the city. So that's the experience I bring to the table. I also, of course, have prepared agendas, public notice preparations, public hearings, attended EDC and municipal meetings, performance, Chapter 380, and revolving loan agreements. I've also worked on construction, procurement, real estate issues, and contracts for EDCs. I've done a lot of employment law with EDCs. I've done employment law matters such as presentation of employee grievances to EDC Human Resource Director, the EDC Director, the board, discipline and suspension and terminations. I've worked on bylaws and policies and procedures for EDCs. I've also worked on governance issues, what a board member should and should not do. I've been asked by board members or the EDC to speak to certain board members about issues where they may go outside of what they can and cannot do. And I don't have a problem doing that. I do it in a very respectful manner as well. I've also dealt with conflict of interest issues, Open Meetings Act, Public Information Act. I've appeared before administrative agencies on behalf of EDCs. I've appeared before state and federal courts on behalf of EDCs. I've done research. I have continued to be updated on the laws related to EDCs, and I've prepared legal memorandums, orders, and resolutions. Now I'd like to turn to, there you go, what I've actually done while I've been employed with the San Juan EDC. While I was here, was able to work with the EDC and create performance agreements and designate projects and public notices, public hearings, prepare agendas for Acura Rio Grande Valley San Juan, Audi San Juan, Land Rover Jaguar San Juan, Mercedes-Benz of San Juan. So I was excited to be here with those companies. I would meet with the investor or the owners of these dealerships. We would get together and figure out, what are you looking for? What do you want from the EDC? And of course, this was done with the EDC director with me. Then we'd go back to the table, to the drawing room, and figure out what could be done. And then we'd present it to the board. The board would make the ultimate decision. Upon doing that, then we'd go back to the EDC or to the client and tell them this is what we could do. We'd bring the performance agreement back to the board, they would approve it, and then they would begin the work on the project. So I was, really excited to be here for all of these dealerships. Mercedes-Benz was an interesting situation. That was one of the first dealerships that I dealt with when I first came. And I believe Commissioner Garza was on the city commission at that time, and we were still meeting at the fire station. The city came to me and they said, okay, this is what's going on with Mercedes-Benz. They were promised tax abatements, but they're already up and going. Well, we can't go retroactively on tax abatements. So we had to be creative and figure out how are we going to be able to fulfill the obligations that had been talked about with Mercedes-Benz. So we had to go just from scratch and figure that out. I dealt a lot with Russell Grant out of the Texas Comptroller's office, and we discussed it and we presented to the city commission, presented to the EDC, and we came up with an idea. We came up with to create the Chapter 380 program here at the city of San Juan. So I'm very proud to say that I was part of that team to create the Chapter 380 program that enabled the city to go ahead and fulfill the obligations that had been talked to with Mercedes-Benz. So again, and this was the first dealership that was here. Everybody else came after Mercedes-Benz. And then of course, North Park Lexus of Rio Grande Valley. I was really excited about working on this one. I worked with the EDC director at the time, Bobby Rodriguez, and he was very insightful and had a vision for the city. And he went with Mr. Hollis Rutledge and myself a couple of times to Austin, Texas, and Mr. Rutledge walked us into the governor's office, walked us to a couple of other offices where we were talking about monies to build this and how to do it. And of course, I was not here when it finally got built, but it was done. And it was because of some of the work that we did. And I'm not saying that I did it all and Bobby did it all, but we were part of it. And that was just very exciting for me. And I was honored to go up there with Bobby Rodriguez and Mr. Rutledge on that. It was exciting and something that I had never seen before. And the offers they made and the discussions we had afterwards. So we all know it happened and it's there. I've been to the dealership and it's beautiful. And I'm glad that I could be part of that. Hilsa, the same thing. They basically came to the city. I worked with Rene Verial, who was working at the EDC at the time. They approached him. We talked to them. We created a performance agreement. We designated them as a project, public notice, and we had our meeting, and it was approved. and we entered into a performance agreement with them, and we went ahead and gave them certain infrastructure assistance, I believe, behind their building. El Rancho Grande, of course, I was here, I believe it was between 2017 and 2018. I know that some of the commissioners or some of the board members were here when this happened, and I worked with you all and Mr. Acosta and Ms. Acosta on this restaurant. So I was glad to be part of that performance agreement and that designated project. I've worked on real estate negotiations and contracts here at the city and the EDC, selling property that belonged to the EDC to individual investors within the city. In addition to that, I've been able to monitor and maintain, as I was employed here at the EDC, the fulfillment of the obligations by Acura, Audi, Land Rover, Mercedes-Benz, to just determine and make sure that they were doing what they were supposed to, which is the number of jobs, the minimum salary, and the people if they were employed from the city of San Juan, because we were putting that into the agreement. So I had to monitor that and make sure that we did do that. Now, with the San Juan EDC, everyday issues and project matters I also dealt with. I apologize, let me go back. Garza Peña Elementary, and the reason I have that here is because, again, I visited with Bobby Rodriguez, we visited with the EDC, with the school attorney on this property, and we discussed what could be done to get this property over to the city and or the EDC to get economic development. We talked a number of times and had a number of meetings with these individuals, and I'm talking about school district attorneys, on how we could get this and how we could transfer it over to the city, how we could transfer it over to the EDC, all legally. And we had to be creative and figure out a way. There was one meeting that we had up in Austin where we discussed this, and this was back in July of 2015, where we found there was a possible method, which was an independent foundation. The EDC could be designated as an independent foundation. At the time, there was no definition for an independent foundation. The city could sell it to the city, to the school could sell it to the city could then transfer it over to the EDC without having to go through the bidding process. And these were exceptions that we found. And then elections happened and administration changed, and then it kind of, went to the wayside. But I was excited to be part of that too. And again, that was with Bobby Rodriguez. On everyday issues here at the EDC and project matters, I prepared agendas, performance agreements, again, the creation of the Chapter 380 program, I worked on Chapter 380 agreements, revolving loan agreements, promotional assistance, public notice preparations, public hearings, assistance with budget and budget-related hearings. Another situation that I helped out, or that I worked a lot on with the EDC, was employment law issues. Hiring practices, discipline, grievances, suspension, termination, hostile work environment, handling sexual harassment investigations for the board, handling employee complaints and conducted an investigation related to an employee's supervisor, handled disciplinary actions with the executive director and the San Juan EDC board. I handled the termination of employees, including the executive director. I believe it's been 2 with the San Juan EDC board. I've attended workforce administrative hearings where employees claim they were wrongfully terminated, wrongful termination issues, EEOC claims, workforce commission claims, harassment claims of any nature. Now, the last one I put on here, clean house. There was a point in time when I was basically the only employee for the EDC. Everybody was let go. Everybody. And it was me and the board. And Bobby Rodriguez was the board president. So anything that had to be done, it was with the 2 of us. And I spent many a day at the old EDC office. And that's just the type of person I am and the team player that I am. I went in there and I did what we had to do. We didn't have anybody to help us with the budgets, preparing reports. It was just me and Bobby. So I don't have an issue getting in there and getting dirty, and I've done it. Now, I know that there's a reason. There's questions about why I'm no longer with the EDC or why I resigned from the EDC, and I will let you know it was very hard to do that. I worked, like I said, and I was very excited with the projects that were here. I was excited to work with Bobby Rodriguez. I was excited to work with you all. But I will let you know in 2016, after the administration changed, I was called and not asked, but I was told, submit your resignation or you will be terminated. I do not want to be terminated, and reputation is very important in this line of business. So I cannot have on my record that I've been terminated. So that's something I considered. And I'm not telling you it was an easy situation, but I did it. And then again, in 2018, On my birthday, I was requested to submit my resignation, and I did, again, for the same reason. But it's the nature of the beast. This is how we work in with cities, school districts. So it's no hard feelings. I mean, this is just how we work. But I just wanted to make sure that I was clear. I was asked to do it. Now, just generally, I mean, my areas of practice: arbitration, mediation, family law, municipal law, real estate and construction law, employment law, economic development corporation law, criminal law, school law, governance, and procurement. I have a general civil litigation background, tort litigation, criminal defense, family law, and employment litigation. So I feel that I have a number of years and a lot of experience under my belt, specifically even with San Juan EDC. I've been around since 2011 here within San Juan EDC, or San Juan, and I have worked with a number of you and your father, Commissioner Villegas' father. I've worked with, your parents and everybody here. So currently, my clients include the Development Corporation of Donna, the Donna Economic Development Corporation, which is a 4A, and there the attorney is Jerry Munoz. However, I have special assignments with the 4A organization. The City of Elsa, I am their municipal court prosecutor. The City of Hidalgo, I am their prosecutor. La Jolla ISD, Jerry Munoz is the attorney. However, I help him with certain special assignments, attend meetings, or at this time I'm representing the La Jolla ISD in litigation. I also have association with Raymondville ISD. That is, the attorney there is Gustavo Acevedo. However, he asked me to help him on occasion with litigation, determination of employees, investigations, or attending meetings. The same thing with the City of Elsa. Gustavo Acevedo is the attorney, and I attend meetings for him or represent them in litigation. At this time, we have a litigation against a construction company. I'm an engineer, I apologize. Okay. What did I do now? It was probably me. Okay. There you go, right? Okay. Okay. My past clients include the City of Donna, City of FAR, Texas, FAR Economic Development Corporation, City of Palmview, Texas, City of Progreso, Texas, City of San Juan, Texas, San Juan Economic Development Corporation, FAR San Juan Alamo ISD, Donna ISD, Raymondville ISD, Santa Maria ISD, and Ed Couch Elsa ISD. At this time, I did not submit what we were looking for, or I'm saying me, what I was looking for in attorney's fees, but I'm willing to negotiate. It's anywhere between $2,500 to $3,000. In conclusion, I'm diligent, resourceful, experienced, and a dedicated attorney. I'm readily available. I'm abreast of the newest decisions issued by the Texas legislators, Texas Attorney General, and the court system affecting economic development corporations. I am here day to day with the clients related to economic development, legal, personnel issues, and business matters. I have a proven track record in representation of clients, administrative, and state and federal courts. Overall, it is my goal to provide effective consultation, advice, and opinions to the San Juan EDC to prevent and minimize litigation and/or issues. I will be honored to be chosen as your attorney and representing this board and administration. Thank you. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Vasquez. Any questions, board members, for Mr. Vasquez? I think we all know Mr. Vasquez, so we don't need to ask him anything. Thank you all. Appreciate
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gilbert. Appreciate it very much. We will let you know. Our next one would be Damian Orozco. Do we want to set a time limit for these, Mr. Rodriguez? We should have done that at the beginning. Thank you, Gilbert. 2 minutes, 3?
It's however you want to decide on that, so.
Yeah, we'll do it 3 minutes.
Let's make sure they know when they get here.
5?
Hombre, 3 minutes.
Okay, board, ¿qué tanto quieren?
Too long. I say 3 minutes. That should be enough.
3? ¿Cuánto quieren? 5 minutes, 3 minutes? 20?
30, that was 35 minutes. 3 minutes.
Good evening.
Good evening. State your name for the record, please.
Of course, Damien Orozco.
Mr. Orozco, if you, as a board, we have decided to just under 5 minutes, if you don't mind.
I will keep it as short as possible,
Okay.
and I will certainly would like to encourage any questions because I think you'll learn much more from me if I answer your questions directly versus me just rambling on here.
Very good. Welcome and thank you for being here
And
with us.
actually, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present before you. As I mentioned, my name is Damien Orozco, originally from Donna. Now been practicing 20 years. My wife also has 20 years of practice. I am a business owner. I'm a general contractor. I own adult daycares. I own a DME. My strength comes to you from a litigant perspective. What do I mean by that? I like to be prepared. I like to research. I like to render my opinion and back up my opinion. So, in working with EDCs, it's extremely important to recognize your geographical area, what your needs are, and what the tools are available to you. If you're not able to recognize that, then you're limited in what it is that you're doing. A couple things that I heard earlier, one of them being is the governor's office. Understanding very importantly that your funding comes from tax base and heads in beds, and recognizing that if you don't have that tax base, then you're even more limited as to your financial assistance that you can provide to any business opportunities. The governor's office is actually only about the only other resource of funding for a corporation such as yours. So it's extremely important to tap into those state funds that you all can bring in and focus on projects that are going to be beneficial to you all in the long term, employment-wise. So we're in the region, we're in South Texas, we are now clustered in between what before used to be separate cities. And what do I mean by that? Well, from Donna, you could drive to San Juan and you could see the difference between the cities. Now, we can't see that. What we do know is that there's a road called I Road that divides certain municipalities. Then we have Tower Road to the east that divides other municipalities. So we got to focus into what San Juan has in its EDC area, which is your south area and your north area. But going back to what I mentioned about myself and what is it that I bring, I think that it's very important that you have somebody that doesn't just have the legal expertise, but at the same time that has the personal experience to be able to review a contract, to be able to look at blueprints, to be able to be resourceful. Because at the end of the day, whoever it is that this board hires as the legal consultant or legal representative, it must be somebody that becomes a tool to Mr. Rodriguez. If Mr. Rodriguez cannot rely on solid legal advice and be prepared and come to you and answer those questions, then that position is going to be wasted. Don't waste that position. Choose wisely. My experience in working with EDC, I had the opportunity of working with what are known as P3s, your 380 agreements, which is basically the working between the private sector and the government sector. And how is it that you bring them in and offer certain incentives that can be gauged and calculated to preserve and take care of that funding, making sure that they comply with their part of the bargain. Because at the end of the day, this is public funding and somebody needs to respond to that. In addition, I did have the opportunity to establish small programs that could help your small businesses for front beautification, investment for relocation, improvements, and those small loans can also be catered to other businesses that are coming in. It doesn't always have to be of providing infrastructure and sewage and everything else. So with that in hand, that's probably about 3.5 minutes. Is there any questions?
Questions for Mr. Orozco? The only one I would have is, have you worked for an EDC before?
Yes, sir.
Which ones?
Alamo, sir.
Alamo?
Alamo. As a matter of fact, I was instrumental with Alamo with the emergency room off the expressway. I was the one behind the 380 agreement on that matter. You're welcome, sir. Yes, sir.
Not there?
I'm sorry, sir?
You're not with the Alamo EDC then?
No, sir. I am
How
not.
long ago were you there
I was there for approximately 4.5 years, sir.
4.5 years?
Yes, sir. Mhm. And in addition to me saying that I'm very proud with the work that I did there, I will also say that you are more than welcome to confer with any of the prior members, even the existing members, about the quality of the work, my response to their emails, my preparation. Every single time an agenda comes out, that's legal obligation to be prepared. I will come prepared to those meetings, I will give you my advice, and I will stand behind my advice. What do I mean by that? Initially, I told you I'm a litigator. What do I mean by that? That means that I stand behind my legal advice, and if my advice does not work, then I'll defend it. But most importantly, I think what's important about a litigator is that you have to be proactive in preventing the litigation. And that's my strength.
Very good.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Thank you very much for your
You're
time,
welcome.
Mr. Orozco.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You all have a great evening.
Thank you.
Unless you want me to remain, if not, may I excuse
No, you're good.
myself?
You can be excused.
Thank you. You all have a great evening. Thank you.
5 minutes,
Less than
perfect.
5 minutes worked out. 4 minutes is on the clock. Our next one is Mr. Ben Castillo. Yeah, I think Laura went to get it. Yes. Please identify yourself for the record.
Yes, sir. My name is Eden Ramirez. I'm an attorney with O'Hanlon, Demarath, and Castillo, and I'm here to present on our legal services and a little other information we have for you today.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez, and like we told the other attorneys, if we can limit this to under 5 minutes, that would be very helpful for us.
I will do my best to get it under 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so like I said, my name is Eden Ramirez, and I work with a local firm based out of FAR, Austin, and San Antonio. We have 3 offices. We're a statewide firm that provides legal services mainly to all public entities. We have over 150 public point entities that we either work with directly or indirectly. And in addition to that, we have an extensive network of attorneys that have experience in all sorts of fields, including being general counsel to state agencies and working with the Attorney General in different degrees and capacities. In addition to that, we're familiar with the workings of a public partnership with the cities and with their economic development branches. We've helped establish some of those branches ourselves in other cities, as well as establishing MDDs. So we're familiar with the process and what the role that your organization plays with the city of San Juan. With respect to the capacity of legal services that we have for you, I can tell you that with the network of attorneys that we have, and you can see some of the resumes and what we provided for you, you'll have the experience in order to tackle on anything you do. When it comes to legal research, analysis, and application of the law, I can promise you that what you get from us is top-notch, and the quality of our work rivals those big firms like Norton Rose Fulbright and other type of firms. So what makes us unique specifically is how we work with public entities. We work with entities that range in budgets from $7 million all the way to $2 billion, and we work with a lot of those projects. And in addition to that, we also have the economic development aspect of our firm, and we work with a lot of these clients to attract investment offers from 313 agreements and other sort of investment opportunities. And so we've been able to close in on deals worth over $1.5 billion in investment for a lot of these entities, public entities that we work with. So with respect to the work that we do, how we understand what your role is and the legal services we provide, I can tell you that you'll be in safe hands with us and our work of attorneys. Mr. Ben Castillo would be the main attorney who was working with you, and of course myself and Mr. Michael Salinas are also going to be part of that. And I know I'm running up on my 5 minutes, but I do want to make a quick point on just 1 minute or two. One of the other services that comes with us as part of our service is we also do lobbying and we also do consulting for these branches. And some of the lobbying that we do involves both state and federal, and we have an attorney with us who comes in from the actual session working closely with state senators and local representatives, including heads of appropriations that we have networks with. And so I would have prepared a little more on that if I knew that was going to be the subject you all were also entertaining to present on. But just keep in mind that with us, you get more than just the legal services. You get legal services, you get consulting services, and you get lobbying services. And we have the network to do a lot of that. So in the interest of time, I will open up for questions before I close to be respectful of your time.
Thank you, President Ramirez.
Yes, sir.
Any questions from the board? So you mentioned, I have a question. You
Yes, sir.
mentioned yourself, Mr. Salinas and Mr. Castillo would be the ones handling it, but handling our account if,
Yes, sir.
if you did get the service?
So the way it works is that we always like to have a principal attorney who you work with directly, you hold accountable, you communicate, you work with. That attorney then takes care of tasking us with jobs in case you all need anything that the attorney does or doesn't do. We all have our little niche of expertise, but the one that you deal with, and that's one thing we pride ourselves in, is that you're always going to be dealing with the same person. You have their number, you have their text, you have their phone, and you get to deal with them directly. The main attorney who, what I understand, is going to be Mr. Castillo, and so he'd be the one you'd be reaching directly.
But all 11 attorneys would be accessible to us. right?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
That's what I wanted
All
to
of our attorneys are accessible in any capacity. Like I said, I know it's a little unique. I know it was for legal services that you all put on there, but we do beyond legal services. So you get more bang for your buck when it comes to what you can get from us. You get all the legal services we provide in addition to our extensive network of lobbying services, and that includes the use of our offices for your events and networks that you have. We have 3 historic homes, one included in Austin down the Capitol, that we allow our clients to use in order to host anything they need, especially during session when you're trying to attract some of these grants and things that are being offered by the state. We have that for your disposition as well. And we work closely with other local areas. I know Mr. Hollis Rutledge is here. And we like to work close with everybody else and other resources that these entities have. So we're happy to work with everyone to make sure that you have a good product for you and that we are representing you properly, both legally and anywhere else you task us to have you. Yes, sir.
And that has no additional cost, right? I mean, is that coming with the legal services?
Oh, that's with the legal services. So
we have extensive expertise of different attorneys here listed. You know?
Correct. So, to give you an example, we have one of our attorneys, Mr. Rico Garcia. He worked in this last session. He was a policy legal counsel, general counsel for one of the state senators. So we have that. And so we have a mixture of attorneys who work in different things. And what we're able to provide for you is not just the legal services. And this is part of what we're trying to offer the Valley. A lot of the times we understand your budgets are not the budget of Houston, the budget of San Antonio. And so what we're trying to do is, listen, we have this product. We also get to do this for you in addition to that. So you have the legal services, that's where we're here presenting. But in addition to that, you have all the bells and whistles that we provide that include lobbying for you. And we have a good network on that. And only because of timing, because we weren't aware of the lobbying aspect, I would have also, like EMC, presented to you all what we do with respect to that.
I got a question here.
Yes, sir.
Is there, I can't find this, Mr. Ramirez, the monthly retainer, or maybe I'm just missing it.
On the proposal, it's here at 5.
5? Okay.
Is it here? What's the?
So what I understand, I think part of what we're trying to do is have that conversation open to what you all have available to use. I mean, we're respectful of that. I don't know if they included it in here, and I'll have to touch bases with.
Check the base on that, because it says $3,000 written, but it has 5
In parentheses, I did see that as well.
Where is that one at? Was that in what I provided you?
It's right here, page.
No, this one was with the professional consultant services attached to this.
Oh, that was what whatever they provided you and you all have there, that's what's there. I came to present about the legal services.
Gotcha.
I didn't know what workings they had offered.
So we'll take
to
it
you
as
all.
it's arrangement.
Yeah, and I mean, and look, the beauty of this is the following, that we're here to work with you. If you tell us, you know what, our budget doesn't allow it, we're banking next year's budget, can you work with us on that? You need to know that we're open for that. And so if you tell us what you can do, we'll tell you what we can do with that.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Thank you all. Yes, sir, thank you. Y'all have a good
Appreciate your
evening.
time. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Same to you.
Oh, Mr. Ramirez, I got one more question. Real quick, I know you presented on the legal services, but you did also mention that you have consulting services available. As Mr. Rodriguez stated earlier, that we're going to hear several consultants throughout some time. So feel free if you think the need of coming back and presenting what you can provide to us as consultants.
I mean, we're always happy to. I mean, look, what I can tell you with respect to the consulting is that we do a lot of what was presented earlier.
Okay.
And so with respect to having workshops for your constituents, with respect to helping with all those things, we do all that. And I wish I would have brought that to you today with that.
We're good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. Have a
Yes,
good
sir.
night. Got one more, Mr. Richard Gonzalez. And here it comes to the podium. Mr. Gonzalez, last but not least.
Mr. Fajardo, good to see you. Mr. President, Ms. Board members, thank you all for having me here today. I appreciate it. I heard we only need 5 minutes, and trust me, that's all I needed. I wasn't going to take any more of your time on the busy schedule. But again, my name is Richard Gonzalez. I've been practicing attorney for going on 10 years now. My career I started back in 2010 as an assistant DA, both in misdemeanor felony courts. I was there for 2 years. I left, started my own firm. At that point, I started getting more involved in a lot of business litigation, transactional issues. I'm currently a municipal judge in the city of Edcouch, and prior to that, I was a city attorney for about 2 years there. During my tenure there, and I heard Mr. Rodriguez mention something that kind of caught my ear. During my tenure there, I had the opportunity to work on P3 projects. And I've had the opportunity to work on them not only on the public side, but also on the private side through my law firm. I've represented multiple developers, engineering firms, been involved in different municipal projects here throughout the valley. And so I've been able to have firsthand experience in the P3 projects and the intricacies that go into that, you know, whether it's negotiating with the finance companies, negotiating with the cities when I'm on the private side, drafting MOUs, 380 agreements, project development agreements, reviewing the contracts for either the city, working closely with executive directors as well as EDC attorneys. So I've had experience firsthand in that particular aspect. So when I heard that, you know, you guys were looking at doing some P3 work, I said, that's great. You know, they're a great tool. I think they're underutilized here in the Valley. But if you do research on it, it's one of the biggest things that's growing. It's one of the best tools that you can use. And so if you're looking for economic development, which I know that this city is, you know, you have a lot of infrastructure coming up. You have great proximity to the expressway. There's a lot of opportunity. And I think the P3 would be the best way to do it. So if I'm given the opportunity to come and work with you guys, I would love the opportunity to get, you know, hands-on, get in there and help out Mr. Rodriguez as much as I can to bring in some big projects for you guys. And, you know, it wouldn't take any training on my part. I've been there, done that. So I'll be able to come in and immediately help you guys with whatever it is that you need. So, you know, like I said, I'm going to conclude it there, quick and easy. But if you have any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them for you guys.
Board members, any questions for Mr. Gonzalez? You said you worked for the city of Edinburgh at the EDC or the city of Edinburgh?
I was a city attorney for city of Edcouch for 2 years, and then after that I became a municipal judge. But I've also done projects. I consulted in a P3 project in the city of Penitas, and unfortunately it didn't go through because of financing issues. But then I've also been involved, not in P3, but in some development work in the city of Hidalgo. We've done some stuff in Cameron.
So when you were getting involved in those P3s, you weren't the attorney for the EDC?
I was the attorney. Well, the city was the one spearheading the project. The EDC kind of took a back seat. But what we did, and it's kind of an intricacy of the P3 projects, is we were able to create multiple entities in order to insulate the city away from any type of legal liabilities. And so, you know, I was the attorney for the city, and I worked very closely with the developer's attorney on the private side. And we kind of got it together. We worked out all the contracts, all the negotiations. So I've seen it from the public sector, and I've also seen it from the private sector as well. So I can bring in ideas from both sides to help make it a seamless, you know, transition if the time were to come.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gonzalez, You said if I understood you correctly, City of Elsa attorney, right?
Ed Couch.
Ed Couch.
Correct.
Okay. What are some specific projects that you've been talking about, specific projects that you've worked with?
Over there, the two biggest ones, you know how Ed Couch works, is a little bit on a slower pace. But the two biggest ones we had, one of them.
Hear you there.
Yeah. One of them was a hospital project that ended up getting rejected and then picked up by the city of Elsa tentatively. But we were in it from the inception all the way to the very end, so that took up a good point of the time. But when it came to the P3, it was on, I believe, a 150-unit apartment complex that was going on out there. We worked it from the initial presentation from the financier and developer all the way up to the very end, where they were obtaining, just getting their financials in order to get the project greenlit and move forward. So we did that, and then in Benitas, it was a utility project that they were trying to work on, some road expansions and stuff like that. So the P3 projects can come in a variety of forms. You know, not everything is going to be similar. It could be housing, utilities, it could be warehouses. You know, I've done some work just recently with some cold storage that's going to be going up in the city of Hidalgo as well. So, you know, I've had some experience kind of all over the place in terms of working these deals out. And the P3 is good, and it requires a little bit of knowledge to understand the particular documents that you're looking for. You have to follow certain regulations and rules, making sure that they complies with what the state is mandating and the government's mandating. So, you know, I have experience in working projects like that.
Sometimes we've been talking about P3, but what about other contracts like the EDA, revolving loans, also the you know, other type of assistance, whether it's state or federal funds,
Sure.
that kind of documents?
Sure. On the private side, I have not been the lead on it, but I have assisted my clients who, like I said, are private developers, private engineers. I've assisted them in going out and searching for alternative methods of financing, whether it be through the Water Development Board, through other state financing. We do work, I have worked before with certain lobbying groups as well, through those clients that I represent. So I have had experience going out searching for money and helping to negotiate, bringing that into municipality to help fund some projects.
What was it, the tourist and the
Correct.
TIF and all those other
Correct.
type of options? Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions? Mr. Gonzalez, thank you very much for your
Mr.
time.
Guajardo, Board, thank you all so much. I appreciate it. You have a great rest of the night.
Thank you. Same to you, sir. Like we said with the other items, we can, after our discussions in EDC, in the executive session, we can come back and take action or not take action on these items, if that's okay with the board. We're good? Good? Okay. Then we'll go on with our next item, which is C, PSJ Education Foundation.
I'll refer you to tab 4.
Tab 4.
Tab 4. And we do have Presenter Laura de la Garza here present.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for your time while they're putting the PowerPoint presentation up. A little about myself, my name is Laura de la Garza. I live here in San Juan. I have 4 children with my husband, Emer de la Garza. We live here. I work here. I work here at Santa Ana Wildlife Refuge.
Who's your
I've
husband?
worked
I'm
18
sorry?
years.
Who's your husband? Emer?
Emer de la Garza. Yes. So we have 4 children here, my 4 little bears, I like to call them, from 9 years old to the youngest being 3 years old. So I'm from this community, and I'm very passionate about the foundation because I believe in education. I worked for the government for about 18 years before I became a civil servant. I actually was a teacher for about 2 years. So I know how important education is, and the quality of education that we give our kids nowadays is very unique because here where we're at in the Valley, we want to make sure that we give them the opportunity to go further. So I've been on the foundation board for about 3 years. I'm 4 years, going up on 4 years of the 7 years. Since its inception 7 years ago, we've raised $1.5 million. So we're very proud to say that because we're the only foundation in the valley that's actually done that. Every year it's really hard, we go out there and we're, hustling to try to get money, and we do it more than anything, it's for the education of this community, for the kids. So let me see if I can get a, is this one? Oops, this one right here? No. Okay, so since I work for the Youth Fish and Wildlife Service, you can imagine we have very limited computer access and all kinds of things like that. So these are cool gadgets. Okay, so I said my name. A little bit about our foundation. There you go. The PhD Education Foundation obviously is a 501c. Organization promotes excellence in education by developing and sustaining financial and non-financial support from the private sector of the PSJ for PhD students and staff. The foundation was founded in 2013 by a group of citizens that believe education is a key to a bright future. We did lose our president about 2 years ago, Joey Gonzalez. He's a very close friend, and he was real passionate about this as well. He would go out to the community, and he gave just so much of himself. This year, we were actually able to do namesake scholarships. This is actually the second year that we've done it, and so we're giving out scholarships to each school. And it comes out in the amount of $10,000 at the end of the year, so at the end of their 4 years. So it comes out to a good amount of money that the kids can actually, depend on, and that they're actually able to say, okay, I can go to college and I can decide to go to St. Mary's. It doesn't always have to be UT Pan Am, but it can go somewhere else. At the same time, I want y'all to realize that we want to make sure that our kids remember that they come back to the Valley and they give back. And most of the kids that we do give our scholarships to, when we've talked to them in the past, they've always expressed the idea that they want to come back and work here in this community. There it is. Oops, sorry about that. So our mission, our purpose, the PSJ Education Foundation is dedicated to providing funds for charitable educational purposes for the PSJ staff and the students. So we also do teacher grants, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that. This is what our foundation is organized and operates exclusively for the benefit of the faculty and the students. So 100% of our proceeds, guys, 100% of that goes back to the organization. We don't have any operating expenses because we have volunteers that work for the actual school district that give out their time. Like our finance director, that's going to be Janet Robles, so she's the actual assistant superintendent for finance. So she's the one that actually does our books and all that. So all that, like I said, it goes back directly to the foundation. Nothing comes back to us. Every board member that we have, this is something that we do because we're passionate about what we're doing. We don't get paid for it, or there's nothing in it for us other than just the mere fact that we want to help out the students in this community. Okay. So a little bit about our goals are to provide scholarships to the PSJ graduates and assist them with higher education expenses. Want to provide teacher grants that will promote student activities and excellence through funding and innovative and creative educational programs and activities. We want to ensure perpetuity of the foundation by observing prudent fiscal policies. That means that we're doing our due diligence. Build community awareness of the PSJ Education Foundation. So we like to do that when we go out to the community. We also go out to the football games and we're there. So you'll see us sometimes we're out there talking about the foundation, what we do, putting the word out to the students and the parents there. Hey, make sure your students are putting in for these scholarships because they're available to you all, to this community. Promote the collaborative effort between corporate, community, and education interests. So we go to the EDCs. This is the second EDC. My next EDC is FAR. I've just been, I did the Alamo EDC about a month ago, and we got something from them as well. This is here for Bears, this picture we took here. The scholarships are awarded to district students to encourage them to continue to go to college in line with the district overall goals of graduating all students college ready, right? College ready, college connected, and college complete. That's what we want to make sure that our goal and our mission and the foundation is to make sure that we continue that. But not just say it, because a lot of times it's lip service, right? We can say, oh yeah, we want all our kids to graduate. But what are we doing as a community? Are we investing in that? So this is a PSJ, this is what our rundown is for the scholarships. We're very transparent, our board is. So I want to make sure that I show you all where the money has been going to. This is just right here for San Juan. You'll see from 2018, 2019, that's the latest that we have right now. Those were 31 scholarships. $70,000 was awarded to the students here in San Juan. So the money's coming back here directly. 2018, 28 scholarships. That was $67,000. 2016, 2017, 29 scholarships, $67,000. 2015, 2016, that was 29 scholarships for $47,000. Every year, we get these scholarships. You'd be amazed how many scholarship applications that we get. And I'm on that board that actually reads, on the committee that reads it. So I'm going to tell you, this is part of the reason that I do what I do, because I read those scholarships and I read each one of those essays. And when you see the need in there, it's just, it breaks your heart. At the same time, you want to continue to go out there and ask for money. I know sometimes when people see me like,
The problem with that is that you want to help out everybody. Just to let you know, as part of that board, the original board, Mr. Gonzalez, may rest in peace.
yes, yes, he did. He was somebody that just like, I remember he would always tell us, guys, we got to go get more money because, you know, look, the need's there. The kids need more money. Let's just continue. So he was really our driving force. So it's been real difficult, but we're trying to continue his legacy. Okay, so this is our mini grants as well. So last year we gave out $40,000 in mini grants. These are anything you can think of that teachers will need. When I was a teacher, it was very common knowledge that whenever I needed money, I used to always go to our principal. He'd be like, hey, ask for the money. But then when I go to ask for the money, he'd be like, well, remember, you know, you got to work together as a department, as a whole. So when you ask for that money, it's got to get spread. The wealth has to get spread out to the whole department. So usually that meant that I was going to get a lot, right? So this is the great thing about the foundation. Not only do we go out there and giving out to scholarships for the students, but we're also doing it for the teachers, because at the end, guys, we have to make sure that the teachers, yes, they're getting paid, and this year they got a raise, but at the same time, that's not enough. More, I guarantee you, about 99% of those teachers, they get money from their pockets. The kids need this, the kids need that, they get it out from their pockets. So what we're doing as a foundation, we want to make sure we're covering that base as well. So the foundation awards annual competitive teacher mini grants. I also am on the committee for reading those. They're very exciting. They can be from butterfly gardens to buying math manipulatives for the students, Ozo bots to try to get the kids more involved in robotics and mathematics. So I wanted to show this one specifically because this one actually impacted the community of San Juan. So, you know, here where we live, the Teacher's Mini Grant Award to beautify San Juan Cemetery. This teacher, which is Ms. Dana Clark, I don't know if y'all know her, she put in for a mini grant, all right? And it was a beautiful essay that she wrote. She talked about her community collaboration, and part of this was going out to the cemetery. All the kids that she had were from the Life Skills Home. And I don't know if y'all know where the Life Skills House is. It's over there in Far, so it's all for kids who are, you know, who have disabilities. So what she was doing was she was making sure she got the supplies for them. The kids all made wreaths and, you know, just beautification for the cemetery. They went out and put to all the graves that didn't have, you know, some kind of memorial, that somebody was, a lot of times they're forgotten out there. So these kids went out, there's a school bus, they're out at the San Juan Cemetery, and they're putting out these beautiful pieces that they actually made. These kids made it. Now that can go in again. Those kids are learning that they can go work for a flower shop. So that's a skill set. At the same time, it's promoting that learning environment, but at the same time, what are you gonna do with this? Are we gonna go and give this over to the community, or we're just gonna keep it here? You know, so what did they do? They went and they shared it out with the community. So this is where your money's coming in. Not only when you're giving money to the foundation, is it just gonna be, okay, well, we're just gonna do it for scholarships, or we're just gonna do it for mini grants. No, it's actually coming back to your community as well. So this was beautiful. I wish I had put another picture where you could see the whole cemetery, but that was kind of hard because it was like a really big file. So this is what our mini grants is. Like I said, our board is very transparent. For last school year, for the 2018-2019, I put also on there as well the schools. We gave out 2 to Carmen Elementary, was in 2,000. Garza Peña was for 500, excuse me. For the high school was 1,000. For the collegiate high school, that was 2 for an amount of 2,000. The total was 5,500. For the 2017-2018, Sorensen got 1,000, which that's where my kids go to school too, by the way. Trevino was $979.86. You might be like, why is that like that? A lot of times when the teachers put in for these mini grants, so like they're down specific. You know how teachers are, they're specific. This is exactly how much we're spent. Well, guess what, guys? If that happens, That extra that's left over, we try to bring in enough money to give in another teacher grant. So not only do we like, oh, let's just put it back. No, we get it. Hey guys, let's look for another one, which is known as, was close to 400, almost 500. Okay, there's another one. And then we'll do another one. So that's why you'll see kind of sometimes that the numbers are like, oh, it's kind of interesting. Garza Peña got another one for $1,000. That one, so that year was $2,979,000. The next school year, 2016, 2017, one for Garza Peña, two for Reed Mock, one for Trevino Elementary, one for Carmen, and one for Bears. So you'll see right there another 5,439. The next year before that, 2015, 2016, two to Carmen, one to Bellew, one to Clover, one to Cantu, three for Reed Mock, and one for the Early Start San Juan. That's for the Head Start. So we're also not just doing it what you're thinking to yourself, like, okay, just certain schools. No, we're also doing it to the Head Start. So, because we already see that the needs are already there for those kids as well. Again, giving back to the community. Oops, sorry about that. So we also do literacy programs. This year, we just granted the librarians asked for some money. They asked for $21,000. We weren't able to give them the $21,000, but we did give them $18,000. That's not only for the Bright Summer Reader Awards, that's also for the Battle of the Blue Bonnets and for the libraries to do improvements, buying books, whatever that the librarians need. So we just came out, I want to bring your attention to this. This was an article that came out in the Austin Statesman, and I'll give it to Mr. Guajardo so he can distribute. I'm sorry I didn't bring more. I thought maybe y'all might have some here. But this was just kind of giving you a rundown of what we did this year. Our foundation, we're very proud because we're all, we're PSJ bearers, but more than anything, guys, we're giving back to the community. I'm not coming here today to ask you for money, because I was like, yeah, can you please give us money? I'm asking you actually today to make an investment in this community, to make an investment in the students here in San Juan, to continue for us to give not only mini grants, but also to continue the legacy of education. My grandfather would always say, you know what, te pueden quitar todo en la vida, pero que nunca que te quiten la educación. Educate yourself, he always say, because you know what? That's something no one can ever take away, is your education. You can start from the bottom up if you have an education, because that's your foundation, and you can continue to build and grow. And that's what I'm asking you for today, is for an investment.
Thank you, Mrs. Lagarza. Thank you for what you do.
I want to thank you for your time, because I know you're very busy, and I know it was run over a little bit later, but I appreciate y'all taking the time to hear me out today.
Thank you. We could feel the passion. Thank you very, very much.
And I'll excuse myself because I have 4 little ones at home.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you all like to take action on this now? Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
What?
I tell you, at the sponsorship levels, we have certain sponsorship levels, correct? Does that include ma'am, I'm sorry, real quick. On the sponsorship, yes, this one right here. So we'd include a table and stuff like that with a sponsorship.
Yes, yes.
Alrighty. I want to make a motion to approve the $1,000 bronze for the Southwind.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I hope to see you all there. We're going to have the legendary Liverpools, I think is what they call it. I'm not sure, but hopefully y'all are there. Yes.
Real quick, I know you were walking out. I'm very familiar with the Education Foundation, and we give from our checks, an educator, teacher.
Yes, yes, I know you're a teacher as well, yes.
And my daughter was recently a recipient of one with her, and it's a great thing for all the kids.
Great, great. And guys, like I said, giving back to the community, because I know that sometimes when we look at these scholarships the kids get, it has to be, okay, they have to have a 4.0. With our scholarships, grades are important, but we also look at the need. Okay, what's the need that they have? How many kids are in college? So it takes a lot of time to go back and look at that, but that's what our foundation does.
Everything y'all do is tremendous.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Yes, sir.
We're selling bricks.
Yes, we are. We're still selling the bricks, the legacy bricks. Yes, we sure do.
And then the other one, the old Jefferson High School, did y'all ever decide on that, on selling one of the original bricks?
Bricks that they wanted to.
Right.
They want to get back, but you know what, sir? I can send you the email on that. I know that Ariana Hernandez was taking care of that, but we are still selling the commemorative bricks. As a matter of fact, I think I have one that's supposed to be going up soon. But I'll go ahead and send this stuff to Mr. Rodriguez, and that way he can send it to you as well. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you. So we've got a motion to award $1,000 and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Move on to the next item Es más, you know what? I saw Mr. Rutledge there. You guys want to skip on to Mr. Rutledge? We won't have to keep him? Would that be good, Mr. Rutledge? Okay, let's move on to section 8B, which is discussion, possible action on renewing consultant contract with Hollis, Rutledge and Associates. And then we'll go back to our regular item.
And Mr. President, really quick, I think now I see Commissioner Villegas' question here. Villegas, sorry, Villegas, thank you. Mr. Rutledge is under the action, right, but he's not under presentation, and we're okay.
Yeah,
if
we're
he
okay.
presents
Legal
with us,
counsel
right?
said that we're
Yes.
good.
Okay, good, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, members of the board. Even though we were not prepared to do a presentation per se, because we were not told, but what we're presenting to you is, in a nutshell, what you already know. As you know, we've been in business going on 27 years. We're local. We're here in the Rio Grande Valley. We're well known. And what I presented to you, because I want to keep it to 5 minutes, is there are capabilities, the people that we have. We have a total of 9 people in our staff. Two of them are here. Frank San Martin, who is the Vice President for Grants and Administration, and Paco Valentin. If you remember, you may know him as the former State Director for the U.S. Department of USDA Rural Development Agency, who funded a lot of projects in this area. He's now going on 2.5 years, a little over 2.5 years, and Paco is here with us. The others that are not with us, of course, is Sheila Valles Pancratz, who's in the packet. Mona Parras, some of you know Mona. She worked as administrator for a county judge before, and also administrator for one of the county commissioners to the west of here. And she obtained her PhD. She has a PhD degree, and she's working with us on our school district projects. As you know me. I've been around for a long time, former regional administrator for GSA under President George Herbert Walker Bush, and of course worked under President Reagan at HUD. The other person that's not here because she is busy at DPS in Austin is my wife, who you all know, is also assisting the firm as a former regional administrator for HUD, where she worked for 38 years. We have a combination of 174 years of government experience at the state, federal level. But to cut to the chase, I'm here to give you a report card of what your investment has made to this community. We have in the packet an illustration of the monetary results of what you have invested. And in a nutshell, I'll keep it short and sweet. For every dollar you have paid Hollis, Rutledge, and Associates, Inc., you have received approximately $180, give or take, for every dollar you have invested with us over this past year. No bank, no investment banker, or no Wall Street will give you those results. I'm here to tell you that we do things the old-fashioned way. We earn it. And it's been demonstrated by this report. There is 2 items, one of which is not, 2 of which are not included in the assessment of the rate of return of investment of the grants that we've gotten for the community, and that has to do with the $3.2 million that we were able to obtain pending a resolution, and I'm not going to go into that. That's a horse of a different color. Some of you know the story. But we were able to obtain, and a lot of you went with me to Austin with the Governor's Office for Economic Development at the time, and recently with Brian Daniels, who incidentally, Brian is now the chairman of the Texas Workforce Commission as of 2 weeks ago. You remember Arturo, that he was the one that we all met with relative to whether or not we could proceed with all of the nuances and requirements that we already submitted without having to go through them again. And he promised Arturo and some of the other board members that were present that we didn't have to go through the rigmarole again. Unfortunately, that's a different color, but hopefully that sits well, that we were able to obtain it, save except for one resolution that was needed by the council to accept the grant. The other is the NetBank grant, which Petra Reina worked on, but then we administered it for you. Part of our success is very simple. We do everything from cradle to grave. We try to work with you all in your priorities. Some of the things that we've discussed with your city manager as the acting EDC director at intervals is to have a workshop between you all and the city council to set your priorities. We've not done that. We really need to do that as quickly as possible so that we can be able to look at and focus on the future of what the community needs are so that we can match those resources that we already know about at the state, federal, and foundation level. And we're willing to do that. As I said, we've been successful in the state and federal grants that we've been able to get. Why do we mention these grants along with the Lexus grant? Well, one cannot do with the other. If you don't have the proper infrastructure as a community, you don't have efficient, effective economic development efforts. You can promote economic development till the face is blue, but you got to have your water, you got to have your wastewater, you got to have a good fire department, you got to have a good police department, you got to have good quality of life with parks. All of that goes hand in hand. So we're very pleased that we worked with you all and also with the city, and that we have a proven record of results. Not lip service, not smoke and mirrors, but results, and that's the report card that I just gave you. If you have any questions for my colleagues or myself, I'm open for any questions at this time.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
The item reads as a renewal of the contract. Mr. Rutledge, this contract that you have is the same one as last?
Nothing has changed. It's exactly identical as the one that you have approved in previous years. Correct.
I second.
Got a motion and a second to renew Mr. Hollis Rutledge's contract. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mr. Rutledge, thank you very much for this report card. I really appreciate seeing what we're getting for our money here.
Yes, sir. And
This is good
be
stuff.
proud of it because you can prove to the taxpayers of this community that you have invested wisely.
And that's a good way to put it when you.
Thank you, Mr.
say what, $1 for $1.
You're right.
Guys
It's
are-
a ROI, rate of investment. All right.
Thank you, have a good night.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And I'm sure you know Paco. He's the immediate past chairman or state director for USDA. And he's been with us now for 2.5 years. He's one of our big resources. Thank you again for your vote of confidence, and let's have another successful year. And I encourage you all to meet with, I want to meet with your ED, your executive director and your city manager, because we do need to have that workshop. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Night. Our next item on the agenda is item D, update on projects. Laura Rodriguez, San Juan EDC Project Specialist. Ms. Laura.
Evening. I've been working 5 minutes, under 5 minutes. I worked on the 4th of July event with Mr. Arjona. We had never had a parade for the 4th of July. So we had our first parade, and we did good. And we've worked on a float that they didn't have either. So that was the 4th of July. Now we're working on Dia de los Muertos with the Basilica, which is November the 2nd. We're working close with Father Jorge Gomez, and we're working with Mr. Viescas. We've met like 6 times already, the mayor, Mr. Juan, and myself, regarding sponsorships. They have really good sponsors. The Basilica, they have HEB, they have Mr. Clark. So we're trying to combine our sponsors and their sponsors so that we can have a successful event. We're also working on Noche de Paz. I can't give you very many details regarding Noche de Paz because, yes, we're still working on entertainment. But sponsors that I do have that I've made contact with are DHR with Mr. Juan Peña, Alonso Cantu's assistant, Erica Gomez. Garcia, I'm sorry, I had a meeting with her today. We're also working with Chick-fil-A. We're working with CAPA. I have different sponsors that are willing to come in and participate. We're also working on a Christmas tree. It's gonna be a sponsorship Christmas tree, and it would be the tallest Christmas tree in Texas.
Wow.
Bigger than the one in Austin?
Fort Worth.
She
There's
said
a-
Texas.
The Fort
Bigger
Worth
than
is
the one in
a,
Austin's big.
Fort Worth is
Texas.
75
I've never seen the one.
foot, and it's in Fort Worth, so we want to go a little higher because we have the Basilica that we can take advantage of. And we're working closely with Lone Star. Hopefully, they can purchase the star, and that would be, you could see it from,
Like that, I think the idea of that would bring in sponsors.
well, it would be like a Christmas tree, the tallest Christmas tree, but it would also, you can include Audi, Lexus. They would buy the ornament, and then you can, sell them the ornament for a certain amount. Right.
Mr. President, the only thing that like, on my behalf, I don't know about the board, but is just to see if we can come up with an offset for the EDC, for the less expenditure on the EDC.
Well,
Just a little offset, I mean, just whatever we can do.
You
that
know,
would be
Mr. Yes, and I agree with you. One of the things that we're doing is, if we can offset, like you're saying, the cost most that we can, and that's our goal. We're gonna get there. That's what we're actually working very hard on. As a matter of fact, we try to reach out for something else and also for a sponsor today. However, the lady was not available, but that's one of the things that we're trying to get a hold of is HEB so that they can give us a good solid sponsorship. And here pretty soon, I want to say that within the next 2 to 3 weeks, once we establish that communication with the local HEB, then we're gonna have to go visit them in San Antonio at the headquarters, because those are the ones that actually provide the full-blown sponsors. But yes, I agree with you on that.
And just remember, I mean, we don't have to stay only in San Juan with our dealership. We got Ford, we got Bogus Ford, Spikes. I mean, all these, as long as we show their advertisement, they're willing to sponsor.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make the Christmas tree one of the main events for the month of December. Now, being the tallest Christmas tree in the state of Texas, I guess the second one's gonna be Fort Worth now, if we go with this one here at 80 feet. The cost that we're looking at is about maybe 22. We're looking at, hopefully the EDC can help us out. And so this is a formal pitch that, with the city, right? It'll be a city EDC. However, one of the things that we wanna do is, once we get the sponsorship, then we can offset it.
Get an offset.
Where would
like
this Christmas tree be set, in front of the shrine somewhere?
No, the Christmas tree this year is going to be located at the park.
Of course.
So when we have event, the Noche de Paz, that'll be one of the main attractions. Once we build our new city hall, we're gonna build it in a way that maybe like the front of City Hall, we have enough space for the Christmas tree. And that'll be main attractions, Christmas tree when we lit up the Christmas tree in December.
So we've been working on a theme, and we had a committee, and we worked closely with Mr. Arjona to have a theme for Christmas. So the theme was Candyland, and we would create the park like a Candyland, where you have different food vendors, where you invite the local vendors to participate. and not only local, but, from other parts of,
But if y'all put the Christmas tree in the park, I mean, throughout, say you put it up at beginning of December, I mean, is it just gonna be there by itself?
Well, actually,
I mean,
yes and
think
no.
about it.
One of the things that we wanted to do was, the Christmas tree is gonna be there, I'm assuming December 1st. The Christmas tree December 2nd, because of the fact that it's on a Monday. But throughout the month, what our goal is to have certain activities there that maybe invite the school district to come over. We're gonna have some stages there, some little made homes and stuff like that, Candyland type of thing. But
Everybody be out there during those days.
right, during those days, have something to do, maybe some vendors, food vendors to come out. As a matter of fact, I met with one today in my office, like a snack type of a vendor, but it's
Now,
mobile, so that we can
I'm
bring
sorry,
them over.
question, that, I guess we discussed it last time, the expense of doing something like that for the week, it wouldn't be too much, right? As far as with Parks and Rec or whoever, the offset of the costs, the employees not gonna be,
It'll be minimal.
it's minimal.
It'll be
and
very minimal.
That's already the normal, say, overtime, some of them.
Right,
that come
and
for-
if at the most, let's say in any given day, it'll probably be maybe 2, 3 people working at that time. And like I said, it's gonna be something very minimal. We're gonna have them on rotation. But that's the whole goal, so that we can invite and attract businesses, attract people to come in and see what San Juan is about.
And I think the whole process is that without having established, like you said, and once we get there, what band or whatever we're gonna do eventually, I think that y'all can hit the ground running with the sponsorships. I think that's gonna cover.
Once we
We're
establish
aggressive with it.
and sign the contract on that dotted line,
Then
then
we
we'll
can-
get the sponsors to go. I mean, we're gonna hit the sponsors, Jack, with the headliners, and the second one and the third. And one of the things we wanna do also is invite the school district to come out and perform on that given day, on that day of the December 21st.
I think everything's good. The only thing is that, see, we're gonna have the biggest tree in Texas.
Will it fit in San
It's
Juan?
It's gonna be at a ballpark that, you have 25 days. I see it's limited to a lot of people. I would rather see it somewhere else so you could see it, people get to, enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
And
Put it in a park and,
we thought about all of that.
right.
However, the attraction in December for the city this year is going to be the Noche de Paz. Now, we have already spoken to the Basilica about the tallest tree, so some of the during mass is like, we're gonna pray for the tallest tree, so go visit that. So those are gonna be some of the things that, working with the Basilica, working with some other people and businesses to promote it in a way, hey, come over and see what this is about. But, yes, and I agree with you on that. We talked about all of that. Where can we situate it? But best, only because of the fact that it's the Noche de Paz on the 21st, it'll be the headliner is gonna be performing with the Christmas tree right in front of them. So it'll look beautiful. Yes. And that's one of the things we're gonna be promoting heavily, which is gonna be at the park. Come and visit the Christmas tree out in the park.
If they promote it well enough, I don't know how down here, how the people will react, but I know that I've gone to the one in Austin. I've never been to Fort Worth, but the one in Austin, bro, every day there's people walking around that tree, taking pictures, because, I mean, it's something that I've never seen. I mean, that big of a tree.
right, right. And we want the schools to participate, so we want to have like Christmas cards, the fences, and decorate properly. Right.
Watching them, seeing you dance and what have vendors, I mean.
Mr. Contreras, you had a
Yeah,
comment?
Mr. Ojeda, real quick. Some of us have been here for a while, Mr. Rodriguez, and all of us can agree, like Ms. Laura, who presented earlier, her name was Laura, right? De la Garza? We want to make an investment in our community, and like other people have come up here and told us, think about making an investment for our youth, our community, and I think we can all agree on that. One of the things, and we're talking about events, city events. That's what we're talking about here. The line item that you're on here is discussion of Noche de Paz and other projects, and I'll get to the other projects later. But Noche de Paz is a city event, and I'm looking at the budget workshop sheet here, and I like what I see here. Budget for 18-19, 19-20, 0. I like that because it seems like the money's gonna come from somewhere else. And let me tell you, one of the things I've seen before here with city events is unfortunately, we come under, and we wanna put a stop to that. I mean, we don't wanna stop the events. I think 4th of July, Dia de Muertos is gonna be a new event, Noche de Paz, all these events are good, they're good for our community, but unfortunately, they're costing the city, the EDC, it's costing us, I think, we're making that investment that I think can come, we can get that financial assistance and resource elsewhere. And that's my opinion in this one. Hopefully, we can get to this budget, like the one I'm seeing here, page 4 out of 9, that we're not gonna have to put money aside for that. That would be great. Hopefully, we can get there. Another thing real quick, and I think that's what Mr. Garza here was talking about in reference to offset. More than anything, you know, I hope one day we can get to events that the city's not gonna have to lose any money.
Right.
It's gonna be all sponsored by others. Aside from that, can you elaborate a little bit more on other projects?
Like the project that we've been working on?
Well, I mean, there's nothing else labeled, it's just your presentation item is discussion, Noche de Paz, and other projects. What are?
I'm working closely with Mr. Rodriguez. He just came on board, so he has some projects that he wants to work on. He hasn't told me specifically, but one of them is to get more people to, like a membership, you know, with the chamber, the Hispanic chamber, promote the EDC properly. He wants to put a Facebook, Instagram, reach out to the local restaurants, to see what, you know, they need from the EDC, if they're struggling, how we can help them. But since he came aboard recently, yeah, that's what we're looking at. You know, going out to the local restaurants and see what they need, if they're struggling, how we can promote them, you know, if it's, you know, on Facebook, on Instagram.
Well, let's not forget our board member over there, Mr. Garza, nobody ever visited his. Let's not leave him out. No, but thank you. Yeah, I wanted just to ask in reference to other projects, since I mean, I'm looking at that.
And we want to have like a, you know, like a night, you know, where we invite all the restaurants that have, you know, make tacos, what's the best taco, you know, in San Juan. We're working on little things like that.
Very good.
If I
Anything
just,
else
I think
for
it's
Mr. Rodriguez?
that same idea and being progressive about that, and as far as what you had mentioned about the sponsorships, I think we'd be in good hands. Biggest key is getting.
And that's why the Dia de los Muertos is so important, because we're working with the Basilica. So we had never reached out to the Basilica to have an event. They're going to have artesanos from Oaxaca. Then we're inviting some artesanos that have come to McAllen and to other festivals, so that we can have, you know, different people coming from McAllen, Mission, Rio Grande to participate in our festivals.
Artesanos, the people that have that carpet or that.
Those are the tapetes, and they come from Oaxaca. And so they're going to have one in the Basilica, which is the largest one, and they're going to have another one either at City Hall or the library, or they're thinking about having one at the park. They're also working on altars, have the community participate, you know, and have their own altar. So there's a lot of things we're working on. We're working with the Consulado, we're working with our communications, people from the community, you know, get ideas.
Well, I foresee it's gonna be very successful.
Thank you.
It will.
Thank you for the presentation.
I just wanted to clarify that on page 4, yes, it says like there's no ask to the EDC. However, I think that was a
Come
typo.
on, I like the way it's said there, what the thumb movement there.
But if you look at on 2017, 2018, that line item should have been over here on the proposed. So, yes, I'll get with Mr. Leroy Gonzalez on that.
Well, I'm just making the fact that hopefully one day we get there, where,
And
you
you know
know,
what,
it'd be great that any and all event is actually sponsored by not the city or EDC.
And that's where we're working. I don't think they've ever, you know, DHR has never participated, Lone Star's never participated. So that's where we're reaching out to HEB.
Reach out to that new hospital also.
Right, Rio Grande Regional,
Hit everybody.
Right, and so that's why we're, you know, a little bit from everybody, and so that we can cover the cost of the Christmas tree and actually make some money, you know, from the events.
We'll be good as soon as we get the lineup and stuff, and then you'll be able to, people will come in.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rodriguez. Moving on to our next item is 8A, discussion possible action on budget 2019-2020. Mr. Rodriguez,
Mr. President.
you've got
real quick,
revision. Yes, go ahead.
I am gonna have to excuse myself. I gotta report back on duty.
Okay.
We are kind of short. This meeting took a little too long. So I do have to report back, so my.
Okay, you're excused.
My excuse.
Mr. Rodriguez? Yes. Can you go ahead with the budget?
Yes, sir. It's a good thing that we were gonna go to the budget because there are some line item errors that the finance director did. And he did present in 2018 budget when it should have been carried over to proposed budgets of 2019, 2020.
What page you on?
That'll be page 409, same page that was being looked at. When you get there, it's, I'll offer explanation here.
There's a lot of yellow.
Yes. It's a lot of items that are missing, you know, amounts.
Why, you said that the finance director?
Well, this is prepared by the finance director, yes. We had discussions, and it's like Mr. Arjona says, the line items that are placed over here to the left, far left, should be to the far right. Now, I did include on there the event of the 4th of July, which is a normal event that you participate in, and that EDC winds up paying a certain amount. And if you can see the proposed, it says 4th of July, and there's 10,000. We haven't even gotten to the events, the Dia de los Muertos, but that has to be discussed with the board, right? To see if we're going to participate in that, and we're going to, if you're going to approve a certain amount of money. We had put on there $5,000 for Dia de los Muertos, which is, yes, sir. Page 4 of 9, sir.
So Mr. Rodriguez, what I'm seeing on this budget is a lot of yellow, like this is a lot of
sir.
work in progress. There appears to be a whole meeting just on this budget, wouldn't you guys agree?
I believe so, and not only that, I also would like to see where are we at in reference to other entities, whether they're the hospital or the dealerships. I mean, how much are they going to bring in? I think that may or may not determine how much we set aside and budget for this item.
Or may not need to.
So what I heard earlier was that we're gonna have 2 more meetings with the budget?
Sir, I'd like to present the budget to you on the first reading on the 3rd.
On the 3rd.
3rd of September.
So my suggestion, guys, if it's not too much, would be to have another workshop on this budget because it appears to need a lot of work still. And it's a little unfair that the workshop we had was actually Mr. Rodriguez's first meeting, if you all recall. So maybe we need to schedule another workshop prior to those 2
There are a lot of
meetings.
line items that are popping up, and there's an expectation for EDC to participate. I
Well,
think
you
Mr.
know,
Arjona-
the reason I say that is because it's been a lengthy meeting, and that budget alone can take us 2 hours, the way it's
Yes, sir.
right now.
Yes,
That is
sir.
correct.
I would welcome another workshop.
I would suggest another workshop.
Yes.
I was gonna say that before presenting the second and the third, the final, I agree with you, there should be a.
Right.
Now, some of these line items, and as far as expectation from the EDC to participate, of course, this is one of the things that we've always done as far as city events.
Right.
And as you may recall, at one point, the city events was not part of the city. It was the EDC taking on the city events. We would just help out.
We're not gonna leave you totally out of it, don't worry, Mr.
Appreciate
that.
But I will say this, Mr.
But we do wanna eventually get to that point,
No,
right? That we're all in
I
agreement.
will say this, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, the EDC has picked up additional staff, and I don't remember purpose behind it or not, but I do believe there should be an effort moving towards offsetting this, like Mr. Goss said. And all of that should be discussed during the workshop, during another meeting. And Mr. Rodriguez, I would like for you to provide us with different options on how we can tackle this and what other revenues we can use. And what I'm referring to is, let it not just come out of the EDC, say, okay, we're gonna write off so much money here, so much money here. What other options do we have that we can explore and say, you know what, money will come in, not necessarily from EDC, but from other avenues?
Has to be good sponsorship attempts, right? It's the only way that you're gonna offset the expense on the EDC budget. Has to be an aggressive method of trying to obtain those sponsorship amounts.
And we've never done that in San Juan, I guess, as aggressively as we're expecting to now. So I think we'd be okay. I think
Clarification.
it's just a different mentality, and let's go do what we need to do as far as get what we need to do for our sponsorship.
On
Promote
the,
the correct way.
just for clarification, Muertos, it was never an event Dia de los Muertos. So working with the Basilica, working with the city, in order for us to create a line item, because I had to put a dollar amount. Now that dollar amount is not set in stone. I just place a dollar amount there. Whether you guys want to do 1,500 or 0, it really doesn't matter to us. But this is something that for you to consider, 5,000, something minimal compared to what the city is going to be participating in, as well as the Basilica. This is a Basilica city EDC event trying to promote not only the Basilica, not the city, but as far as the community goes. So it's just a suggestion for us to put in there that I placed in there 5,000, which is, I kind of figured it was kind of a minimal participation coming from the EDC. So there's more talks, there's more meetings that we're gonna be attending. I'm sorry? The city's putting maybe 3 times more than that. I'm not really sure yet at this point, but we're participating more than what this is here. Like,
Yeah, I mean, that was, I reviewed it and I was going, Dia de los Muertos. That's a new thing here in San Juan, or what?
we had it for the past maybe 3-4 years now.
Okay.
At one point, it was strictly the Basilica, and the city would pick up on some of the lodging from the working artisans that are coming from Oaxaca. But this year, unlike the others, the Basilica and us, we met together with the mayor, of course, and Ms. Laura and Ms. Martha, and what they wanted to do was a big event, something that was before. So, for instance, this year, one of the proposing that we're proposing is bring Catrinas from Mexico. They can come over and do a parade. We never had a parade before. So this is gonna be totally separate. It's gonna be another event. Obviously, it's hosted by the Basilica. We just helping them out as the EDC and the city.
So again, this item is for the budget. Are we all in agreement that we need another workshop? So we will get on the calendar, and he'll reach out to us on the calendar. I'm sorry, Mr. Contreras? So no action is required. We'll just move on. Do we want to choose a day now, or do you want to just wait till look at our calendars and reach out to us, or you want to do it now?
We've got a calendar, remember, on the section over here to your far left of its calendar. So if you go to it, we can look at August and try to figure out, what the next EDC budget workshop would be. We're at the 20th.
Juan, are you all meeting on Tuesday, City? Next Tuesday, right? Yes.
I'm good Monday. Mm-hmm. Which is the 26th, you're talking, right?
Monday, the 26th.
The 26th.
First day of school, but it'll be after school. 5:30. Just a workshop for the budget, that's it, nothing else. That way we can tackle all those items or start chipping away at it. Okay, we'll move on to our next item. Is 8C, discussion possible action on consultation presentation on EMC strategy group. Do you guys want to act on this now, or what do you want to do? I think we need to look at our budget before we try to do that, because we don't have line item for that right now, right? We don't have budgeted money in there. Action or table it until after our workshop. Whatever you guys desire.
Well, the difference between table and no action is table, it has to come back. Am I correct, Ms. Palacios? Okay. So, if you're referring to it to come back, then it would be table.
We can no action it, and then if you want to consider their services, we can put it on the agenda again.
Or no action then.
I'll make a motion for no action.
Got a motion for no action on it in a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is item 8D, discussion possible action on selection of attorneys for the San Juan Economic Development Corporation.
Has he had an opportunity to review all this information, the packages?
I've got a motion to table
Second.
and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, this item will be tabled to the next meeting. Our next item is 8D, discussion possible action, no, 8E, I'm sorry, discussion possible action on joining Rio Grande Valley Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
How you met with him? I like
Yes,
that
I've
idea.
expressed, there is an item for action, or possible action, and if you go to tab 3, we'll be able to look at that. And you will see a flyer that has Rio Grande Valley Hispanic Association Chamber of Commerce. And
Cost us $4,000 for membership?
No, that's your balance that you have in that account right now.
that's the amount available,
Like,
sir. No,
whoa.
the flyer is what I'm referring to, sir. There's a flyer there. And on that, it's an application flyer, and it allows the highest or the lowest is student at 25. No one here with EDC can apply for that. But at the highest point, it's $550 for 300 and plus employees. That would mean that the city and EDC could have membership in this category with the Chamber of Commerce. They're going to be offering a lot of training seminars and sessions that we could take advantage of.
What is the membership fee again? $550?
Yeah, look at your.
That would come out of our balance, which we still have like 6,000 left in there, or 5,000, right? 4,000 now?
For this particular line item, it's
We
4,000.
got 1 month left. Do it?
Yes, I make the motion to approve.
At what level, sir, would it be?
Well, I thought it was 550. What did-
550 is what you're agreeing to vote on, right?
Right.
550.
We've got a motion and a second for the membership for 550. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item is 8F, discussion possible action on promotional sponsorship on PSG Education Foundation. I think we already acted on that, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we'll go on to item G, discussion possible action on promotional sponsorship on San Juan Nursing Home Gala event on September the 19th, 2019.
Let's go to tab 5 on that.
Tab 5.
I might add that under this sponsorship request amount, there were two reasons. Both of them have to do with the San Juan Nursing Home, okay? And they're both by application in tab 5, okay? We can address the first one. They're asking for $5,000. And in this particular one, they're asking for help with equipment, with chairs, with mattresses that they need, and they requested $5,000.
We don't have the 5,000, so what's the next one?
It's the same one. The next one is dated August the 15th, and apparently this matter had been discussed way back in 2007 and fell through, didn't go anywhere. So now they asked again for consideration on August the 15th.
Same amount?
They're asking really for $9,595 on this one, consideration, all right? And then they're asking for an additional gala amount. And here it's sponsorship, and there's a sponsorship page behind it. You can see where it's gonna say sponsorship commitment form. And it's got September 26th, which I think is actually September 19th, that they need this event to take place. But they have submitted the application, and they're asking for sponsorship in that.
Ever sponsored this, Mr. Arjona, do you recall? Because my fear is that from now on, we're gonna be checked off for that amount every year. I don't know if that's what we need to be getting into, but I can know.
By the letter that's
What do
here,
you
it sounds
I'd
like
like to
it
start.
tried it in 2007, and it didn't.
There's a $500,
There's a letter.
a $1,500 one. I mean, we don't have to go to 5,500. I mean,
I'm saying, yeah, it's,
We can check and go back and see how much we participated in the past, because I do recall some one nursing home, I just don't recall the amount. But if
But
it
I
was,
offer-
it was something
Well, I mean,
minimal.
I'll entertain a motion if you guys are ready.
one nurse has been very instrumental. I think you can do something like that. I mean,
Could I offer a
Yes, sir, go
suggestion?
ahead.
Okay. We have the area for mini grants, okay? I asked them, we made an actual site visit. Martha and I went to the nursing home. We looked at their patients or residents there. We looked at their needs. We saw everything on a site visit there, especially to see what they needed. But one of the questions I asked was, what is your monthly bill run like, your utility bill? They said 3,000, okay? The only thing that maybe I can present to you for consideration is if they're in need of some monies, we could take maybe the mini grant and say, let me pay for this month's utilities as a way of assisting them without going into a
Do
commitment.
we know who runs the nursing home? It's the Diocese of Brownsville, isn't it? You sure? So all their employees are from the Diocese of Brownsville, and they got coins. But it's something to look into, to find out, right?
It's something to consider.
we participated in these gay lists before.
You want to make a motion?
Ms. Palacios, I have family, immediate, well, not immediate family, my aunts work there. Would that be a conflict of interest if I make a motion?
You have relative?
Aunt
Family member?
is an
Oh,
employee.
an
You need to
aunt, but it's
abstain.
not, so not a wife, not your child,
No,
not,
my aunts.
yeah.
Third degree of consanguinity.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to approve, maybe the 1,500? The 1,500?
Got a motion for 1,500, and we have a second for the $1,500 sponsorship. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is discussion and action on ratification of approval of the San Juan Crime Stopper Night Owl promotional sponsorship in the sum of $1,000.
We had the amount, and we had the application and the approval, but we were going back and forth on the last meeting, and the actual amount was there and received properly and filled out properly, all right? I went back and I double checked to make sure after the meeting that we had everything covered, and I saw that somehow we had skipped through that. The next thing I did was go contact as many board members as I could find and discuss the fact that, do you wish to get $1,000? This event on Night Out, I don't think had ever been presented before. The PD had a $1,000 donation. I think it was on, is it Blue Santa? Christmas Blue Santa of $1,000 on this budget year. This was never, at least that I can see, maybe in years past, I don't know, but for the year had not been appropriated in any amount, okay? So that's why I went back and looked at it and I said, well, let me see how all board members feel. And I tried contacting everyone. I got most everybody contacted, I think. Two I was not able to get to, but there was a majority there, the consensus that, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. But Sergeant Rodriguez did pick up a check on Friday because the event was Saturday. So he picked up a check and it was made out for $1,000. And so the event has already taken place. So being said that the event was already held and that the check had been provided, now we need to go back and ratify the amount.
ratification. Make the motion to approve the ratification. Aye.
Executive session pursuant to section 551.087, economic development negotiations, and 551.071, consultation with attorney, deliberation regarding financial incentives to business prospects and Project Square. It is now 8:05 and we're going into executive session. No action is required out of our items in executive session, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So I've got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.